Thank you, Corbin Middlemass, as we welcome you to a warm and sunny Sydney Cricket Ground. It's the repeat matchup of last year's premiership decider. The winners that day, the Lions, who get their campaign underway 9 days later than planned. They'll do so today without Charlie Cameron, missing with a calf issue. Levi Ashcroft will make his anticipated AFL debut alongside brother Will, who was best of field when these sides last met at the MCG 168 days ago. The Swans are still chasing their first win of the Dean Cox era. They stumbled last week here at home. They have two new faces today. Riley Bice, the mature ager from Albury via Werribee, debuts as their sub. Joel Hamling, the premiership-winning Bulldog and former Docker, will finally play his first game as a Swan, best known as a defender. He may well play up forward. Those two names come in for Taylor Adams, who's out with a hamstring, and Angus Sheldrick, who has been omitted. The Brisbane sub will be Connor McKenna, as he was on grand final day, and they have 21 of their 23 players that saluted on the biggest stage last September against this very same opponent. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport. My name is Brett Sprigg. Daniel Garb will call the action alongside me. The opening bounce very, very shortly. So we've got one Norm Smith medalist out there playing today for the Brisbane Lions. We've got one here in the box as well. The last Sydney Swan to win it, which was, admittedly, 4 grand finals ago. But I'm pleased to say Ryan O'Keefe is back with us on ABC Sport. Welcome, Pebs.
Yeah, good to be back. Look, it's a beautiful day. Really, really hot out there, but both northern state teams, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. But looking at that Brisbane team, they look a formidable opposition for the Swans, and I don't know. I think they're going to be really hard to beat today.
And alongside you is a dual best and fairest winner as a Lion. He played here for the Giants as well. And he's just got back from Paris Fashion Week. The multifaceted Joel Patfull. Good to see you.
I knew you were going to mention that. I'm a little bit tired, so excuse me today if I mess up a little bit. But looking forward to a great game. Like you said, the Lions looking so strong. 21 out of 23 players playing today from that premiership team. But the two they are missing are Cameron and Danaher from that forward line. So it might help the Swans out a little bit today. Looking forward to a great game.
Yeah, break it all down for us, Pebs. I mean, the teams are out there warming up. The opening bounce has been pushed back a couple of minutes because of the late finish there in Geelong, which, if you have just joined us, the Cats winners by 78 points there over Fremantle. But your things to watch out for here today. Admittedly, that will be a big one. No Charlie Cameron.
Yeah, that is big. You know, Charlie's obviously electric down there. Obviously, Danaher was probably playing the best footy of his career and decided to hang up. But the big in for Brisbane's Big O. And remember, he didn't play in the grand final, so he's going to be a player this year. He's got a point to prove, and I think in terms of he'll want to get back there and be part of that premiership. The Swans are missing a few players, and I just think they're going to be a little bit undersized. So it depends if they're going to go. Tom McCartan's they're going to stick with that play forward. Hamling's going to have to play back to shore up that defence, but. For me, I think the Lions have got it today.
Well, it's a big test for the Swans, isn't it? After last week, a little bit disappointing, their first game under Dean Cox. A few of their big guns didn't really fire. Heaney, Grundy in the middle, really got to get going early, get that ball going forward. Only 40 inside 50s last week, so he talked about McCartan not really performing up forward, but he didn't have as much opportunity as what he probably should have. So they'll be looking to get that ball inside 50 a bit more, give those big tall forwards an opportunity, get a score on the board.
Looks like the toss has been won by the Brisbane Lions. Harris Andrews pointing to the Paddington end to start here. Like to check in downstairs with Declan Byrne, who's boundary side for us this afternoon. What's it like down there, Declan? Very warm, I imagine.
It is a steamy day here in Sydney. We had the raincoat last game at the SCG, and it's, sunscreen on today. So 29 degrees. There's a fair wind, though, swirling around. So generally favouring the Randwick end a little bit. But the wind is keeping it cool enough. Let's see how the Swans cope with that grand final loss today.
Levi Ashcroft, we're looking forward to seeing from him, Ryan O'Keefe.
Look, from all reports, he's a slightly different player to his brother. Probably a little bit more harder inside. But from his form in his last year before getting drafted, it was meant to be really star.
The grand final rematch, the opening bounce is upon us. Do you remember the 28th night in September? I'm sure the Sydney Swans would rather forget it. And here is Daniel Garb on ABC Sport.
Saturday footy. Oscar McInerney back in the middle after missing the grand final, opposed to Brodie Grundy. He wins the first app and then gets a handball to McGluggage with the first clearance. Works it to centre half forward. It bounced off the chest of Kai Lohmann. Picked up by Lloyd. Gets it to Blakey. His kick wasn't quite crisp enough for Papley. Papley does well, though. Beats Starcevic to it on the wing. Then he's caught well. Excellent second effort by Starcevic. Now with Rayner. Brisbane inside 50. Cutting across is Blakey. so dependable down back, and he takes the defensive mark.
The Lions with the first entry. Blakey exits defensive 50. Hand pass comes away from Hanley. And now Florent off half-back. A pinpoint pass to find Tom McCartan on the members' wing.
You like to see that early, McCartan getting up the ground, making Harris play on him, making him accountable so he can't drop off in that inside that back 50.
Saturday footy on ABC Sport here at the SCG. McCartan's kick up the line. Amati crashes the pack and then shoved over the boundary line as Darcy Wilmot, ball and all, will throw it back in at right half forward for the Swans.
See, Jordan's got the job on Lachie Neale, so that's going to be tight there.
70 seconds played, no score so far. The Swans and the Lions on ABC Sport.
Grundy and McInerney wrestle. There's a free kick. It's going the way of Lachie Neale. So James Jordan, the man they call the padlock, with the tagging job on the two-time Brownlow medalist, and just applying the padlock a little bit too tightly early on. So a free kick to Neale, who works it up the wing for McInerney, who takes a good overhead mark. Handballs it on his knees to Dunkley running past. Brisbane go inside 50 again. Good punch by Hamling in his first game as a Swan. Bouncing ball in defensive 50. Rampy's handball isn't convincing. Well done Papley though to support. Got it to Roberts. And now Rampy. They exit defensive 50. He looks for Amati. He let it go over his head. And McCartan on another long lead takes a mark on the outer wing.
Yeah, marked Andrews. Moves along quickly by a foot. The man down there in Hanley. Marks it left half forward. Still 65 from goal for the home side. Pops it inside 50 now. A little wide there of Jordan. Out to meet the football now. Taken out of the boundary line. Neale gets clean possession. Hand pass off here. Little one through with McCluggage. Now he rebounds with a kick. Back to the outer wing of the SCG. And Melika, the loose man, floats across to intercept.
Still no score. Melican goes central. And Wicks in his new position as the defender takes the mark in the middle of the ground. Got it to Grundy. Has support from Heaney. His handball just missed the target. Heaney gathers it half forward, kicks to the right forward pocket. Well done, Oscar McInerney. Excellent grab. Wasn't paid though. Very unlucky McInerney. I think he had a fair bit of that and caught it just as it was about to hit the ground. Umpire thought otherwise. It's over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in right forward pocket for the Swans.
He started the game well, Oscar. He said he's obviously full of beans, ready to get the season underway, but he's been really impactful.
One of those two players that didn't play in the GF last year. So comes back in. Bailey there takes on Papley. It's my favourite stat in footy. No premiership team has ever played again after the grand final.
Is that right?
Ever.
Incredible.
And of course with John Danaher having retired, it won't happen with the Brisbane Lions either, despite the fact that most of them are there, all bar him.
Wow.
3.5 gone to the opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Across ABC Radio, News Radio and the Listen app. Down it comes here. Jordan wrapped up by Neale this time. The umpire says, give it to me. Stoppage inside 50 for the Sydney Swans.
Just watch Jordan before that. Like, he's trying to take Lachie Neale forward as well to try and make him defend. So that could be an interesting tactic to try and get him off his ball.
McInerney out muscles Amati and cleared defensive 50. Picked up by Archie. Quick handball to Berry. Now they can work it out of defence, the Lions, but that kick favours Blakey, who sticks his arm out and says, that's got to be deliberate, umpire, and that is the way it's paid. Kick was well wide of Logan Morris, insufficient attempt. So we've gone 4 minutes here at the SCG. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, still no score. In the grand final rematch as Blakey goes short to Isaac Heaney. Works it just the 15 to the man wearing number 15 on his back in Sam Wicks. So Brisbane set up well defensively. Wicks will go long into attack. Amati will look to launch at it, as will McCartan. Had the chance to mark it. McCartan brought it to ground. He's won the free kick though for front on contact. He had good position, and Andrews, fearful of McCartan marking, intervenes, but incorrectly according to the umpire. McCartan will kick from 35 out, slight angle to the right.
McCartan just needed a sider last week up forward just to get his eye in to see what it's all about playing up forward. So look, he's been quite busy early. He's got a beautiful set of hands, so hopefully he can take some mark and capitalise.
So he kicked one last week. His previous goal was round 9 2020. So it's still a foreign object to him, being the Swans' main man, and unfortunately he showed that on that occasion because he shanked it out of bounds on the full. Still no score. 5 minutes gone in the grand final rematch. Poor set shot, Tom McCartan.
You just see his action there. He sort of just poked at it. Well, it didn't seem too confident or kick through it.
Zorko, what was the kick beyond offensive 50? Rayner! Big hang, rises above Roberts, takes it at left half back. Called to play on quickly. Left foot kick down the line, intercepted though. Down there by the man coming off the bench in Joel Hamling. Stationed there on the wing. If you just joined us, Geelong beat Freo by 78 points at Gideon Park. We'll recap that shortly, and also the Formula 1 news as well. Mark taken here by McCartan, just forward of halfway here for the Swans. Chasing the first goal, the first score of this match. McCartan had a shot a short time ago, goes inside 50. Grundy reaching from behind. Hayward in the pack there, hand pass away. Starcevic and Harris Andrews has dumped into Heaney tackle. Ball comes loose. Bailey off from the play. His kick was smothered. Out of bounds for a throw in once more. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
We were wondering where Joel Hamling would start, given he was a top 10 goal kicker in the VFL last year. He started down back, and they're trying their best to get Nick Blakey free. He's on Morris at the moment, but he's roaming when he can.
But they'll be wrapped with the way McCartan started here as well. 4 marks, and he's engaging Harris as well, so he can't drop off Andrews that is inside 50.
Boundary throw in, 35 out from the Swans goals. McInerney's been busy, got the clearance to Dunkley. Still under pressure though, the Lions. Here's Warner's first touch, trying to find some space. He goes outside attacking 50 to Wicks, who snaps it back in that area. Well done by Zorko, the veteran, who takes the defensive mark. Now Brisbane can go. Finds Starcevic. Bailey's running off him. And out wide they go to Archie, who kicked 4 goals in that grand final triumph. The Swans have got back in numbers now, so Bailey has it at centre-half back.
No Charlie Cameron today. His streak of 145 consecutive games comes to an end with a calf complaint. Harris Andrews, hand pass off here to Will Ashcroft, last year's Norm Smith medalist. High kick down towards half forward. Out in the contest, Hipwood. Loman does rove, does it well. Rayner out in space now, breaks the tackle of Wicks. Hand pass back to Loman to kick 4 goals in the GF. Gets it back here to the run of Rayner, who snaps and misses to the far side. The first score of the game are behind the Brisbane Lions. 8 gone first term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
That Brisbane forward line's dangerous for those smalls through there when they get a bit of space. But I like Swans' defence there. They're actually sort of closing a man off rather than sitting back in zone like they previously have in previous years.
Roberts weaves around Loman, kicks up to the wing over the head of Starcevic. A long kick, bouncing ball, socket forward by Campbell, and a good tackle by the second gamer in Hanley on the veteran in Dane Zorko. There's about 19 years between them. The youngster with a strong tackle will have a ball up just forward of the wing. Hasn't McInerney made up for his grand final absence? 5 disposals early, 5 contested possessions. The big ruckman, as Neil and Jordan look for the loose football, it now goes over the boundary line. And we'll have a throw in.
For the F1 fans, qualifying is underway at Albert Park, and Q1 has just ended. Both Aussies, Oscar Piastri and Jack Doohan, have made it through to Q2. We'll keep you across all that throughout the next hour. So there you go, Oscar Piastri, McLaren and Jack Doohan at Alpine. Back in it comes the SCG, meanwhile. Just one behind in it, the Brisbane Lions, the first score of the game. Loose footy here on the wing. Hand pass clean from Dunkley. Picked off though by the Swans and Hanley. Out in space, Justin McInerney gets the hand pass back here to Hayward. He can close goal side. Outside of the boot, goes a little too wobbly across the face. Out of bounds on the full. And again, Sydney chasing their first score. 9 gone first term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
It was that forward pressure through the stoppage, wasn't it, Ryan? You talked about the Swans trying to close that space, and they're really making a conscious effort to get in there and attack and get in the face of that Brisbane forward line.
We're going to have a ball up here. Not sure what quite happened. There was a quick kick out of defence for Brisbane. Maybe it didn't go the required 15. Campbell sharks the football off the ruck tap and snaps beautifully from the pocket. Well, something out of nothing for Sydney. Braden Campbell's trusty left foot is the first goal of the grand final rematch. Swans 1 straight 6. Brisbane 1 behind. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
What I'll say with the Swans at the moment, I've been really impressed. They've been really clean with their ground balls and first touch. So that's something we know. If you're clean with the ball, it gives you plenty of time and space to be able to use it. And I've noticed even like Hanley as the second game have been really clean, and that take there by Braden Campbell was just bang, one grab, and then he was able to have a shot on goal.
But it's a smother inside 50 as well, which is invaluable. And it's that forward pressure, and it looks like this one's really making a conscious effort. Close that space. Don't let the Lions have that opportunity, have that space to build their play up. Stop them while they can.
The voice of Joel Paffel and Ryan O'Keefe on ABC Sport earlier in Geelong. Freo fell behind by 60 points prior to half time. And then Murphy Reid on debut kicked 4 goals in 6 minutes before three-quarter time. They trailed by just 21. The Cats then powered away to win by 78 points in the end. And those 3 best players, Bailey Smith, Sam De Koning and Isaac Humphries, the ABC Player of the Year, 3-2-1 in that game earlier at Kinnear Park. Clearance goes away the Lions here at the SCG. Loman slung to ground by Roberts. Ball comes loose. Gathered here by Lloyd, now the milestone man last week against the Hawks. Can the Swans rebound? Not cleanly. Picked off there by Levi Ashcroft on debut. There's his first touch, a handball. And now Jasper Fletcher keeps it alive. At half forward for the Brisbane Lions. They go inside 50 through McCluggage. A little deep was the kick. Danger here for Florent. Collected by Morris down there. And Blakey receives the hand pass. Rebounds it. Trusty left foot kick beyond defensive 50. Spots up Heaney.
And now they can go because Heaney had support in the form of Papley. Handballs it over the top. Papley has a bounce on the wing. Goes deep inside 50 for McCartan. Well done, Harris Andrews. Superb defending. Loose ball in the pocket. Picked up by Campbell. Goes back to Hayward, who tries to centre it for Corey Warner and finds him. They recovered that so well, the Swans. Warner will get 50. So he'll kick from directly in front, and now it's on. Jared Berry took down Warner late after taking the mark, and McInerney's run straight through Berry. It's all been diffused rather quickly. Corey Warner will kick Sydney seconds.
The big brother was quickly to run over there too. There's 2 sets of brothers out there.
Warner slams it through. 2 straight 12 the Swans. Brisbane 1 behind. You got to feel for Harris Andrews though, because he did ever so well to stop McCartan marking the football that Sydney were able to recover.
That was an amazing spoil by Andrews. Like that's just why he's one of the best defenders going around. And that looked totally out of play, got in there, but just some really cool, calm, collected heads there by Hayward to be able to just head up to Corey Warner and then finish it off. So, well, there's nothing in that. That's just footy.
But you got to feel sorry for McCartan, I reckon. He had 30 metres at Harris Andrews closed on him. He's trying to do everything to kick a goal. He's done everything right. He's presented. He's just trying to get one over the back and couldn't quite get there. But he's creating opportunities for everyone around him as well.
Our ABC Sport analysts, Joel Patfield and Ryan O'Keefe. And here's Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Injury concern for both teams. Hanley came off complaining about ribs, so he's getting some attention. And for the Lions, Loman was limping, so McKenna is up and warming up, the sub for the Lions. I'll keep across that.
Swans by 11. They kick the first 2 goals of the game. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Oscar McInerney wins the tap down here. Lloyd in the middle there for the Swans. Dunkley the hand pass. Wilmot clears here. High kick out towards half forward. Back with the flight, tracked there by Ben Patton. There's a few new faces out there for the Sydney Swans. Patton goes again, competes there with Levi Ashcroft, and it's going to be deliberate as he socketed the ball toward the O'Reilly wing. Very sunny, warm conditions here in Sydney this afternoon. We'll have extended breaks, as we've seen the heat policy enacted across a few games in round 1. Ashcroft's kick inside 50. Blakey rises above, can't pull it down. Lurking is Rowbottom. Starcevic over the football here for the Brisbane Lions. In fact, in there it was Logan Morris, and now the umpire still waiting. Swans will clear through Rowbottom, and Dunkley takes a chest mark at right half forward.
Dunkley assesses his options, kicks to the right forward pocket, cutting across. Here's Rampy. Melican, though, ensures that it goes over the boundary line. Sydney 2 straight 12, Brisbane 1 behind. Saturday footy, ABC Sport.
I can see Melican's going to be probably that Tom McCartan of last year, of that general down in defence, just that sure, steady hand.
Grundy lurking behind McInerney, gets a fist to the football, down to Roberts. He's well tackled by Will Ashcroft. We'll have a ball up inside 50 for Brisbane.
Well, it's our first look at the Lions forward line as well without Danaher up there. It doesn't look like there's a clear forward target at the moment, is there? Hipwood hasn't seen it. Needs to really chuck that footy inside 50.
Bailey swoops in here for the Brisbane Lions. Umpire says, give it to me. It's the Swans by 11 points here. 14 gone first term. Into Declan Byrne very shortly. Ball in the air. McInerney and Grundy compete. Bailey tries to shark it there for the Brisbane Lions. Melican. Clean hands off to Blakey across the defensive goal mouth. It'll bounce toward the old green grandstand, the members stand, and we'll throw it back in. Not far away from you, Declan Byrne.
And not far away from Kai Loman. Big news down here. The grand final hero for the Lions. He's got his left boot off and he's heading down into the Brisbane rooms. No movement yet on the sub, but Loman not looking good with a left ankle complaint.
Already without Charlie Cameron, who was withdrawn due to a calf issue. Looking a little light up for the Brisbane Lions. Right bottom, here goes the kick. Partly smothered. toward that wing. Heaney tracks it now under some pressure. Did well on the end, Ainsworth, but he's brought to ground by Justin McInerney, and the umpire will ball up again. Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Joel Patfull, Ryan O'Keefe.
That's a big loss if Loban's out. As I said, they're going to really rely on their small forwards today. And to your point before, Joel, about Hipwood, he's probably never really been that key forward, isn't he? He's sort of a size of a key forward, but plays more of that hybrid high half forward.
So the grand final forward line for Brisbane all of a sudden looking a whole lot different. Loman off the ground, Charlie Cameron laid out, Danaher retired. Amarty's in the ruck, Grundy's having a rest. Darcy Fort's there with him. And Warner goes in the back of McCluggage. So a free kick just forward of the wing for Brisbane. McCluggage plays on quickly in her attack. Morris comes out to meet it, and he's been hitting the head, Morris. That's another worry for Brisbane up forward. It's going to be a serious concern. The quick kick will fall the way of Blakey just outside his own defensive goal square, and Logan Morris is in trouble. They'll have to stop the game for him to get some attention.
It was friendly fire with Zach Bailey, his own teammate.
Yeah.
They could have lost 3 forwards if you include Cameron before the bounce. What are we? 16 minutes into the first term here, Brisbane.
Yeah, that was a solid hit to the head.
Sydney 2 straight 12. Brisbane 1 behind in the grand final rematch. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, and we paused for Logan Morris, as promising young forward, to get some attention after a head hit.
I think it's more on the jaw. I think it's more on the jaw. We're looking at that replay. I think Bailey's head hit him right on the jaw, so it could be just a bit of a cut mouth or something like that, so not a concussion.
So they'll still assess him. He himself hit a couple of goals in the GF last year, Logan Morris. Had a very good final series, didn't he?
He's a great player. Good set of hands.
So he'll come from the field here. So busy work for you, Declan Burns, so far on the boundary.
Yeah, it has been far out. So holding a sort of cloth to his mouth there. There's some blood coming out of his mouth. So I think, like you say, the jaw, even just the below the nose region, the concern right now. So no doubt they will go through the test, but it doesn't look as serious as we thought it was for a second there. But he's coming off the ground now, Morris.
You can text us 0437 774 774. Earlier, the Cats by 78 over Fremantle, and later on, you'll hear either the Western Bulldogs versus North Melbourne at Docklands or Collingwood Port Adelaide at the MCG. You can hear every game, of course, via the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL or AFL Extra button. 11 points the Swans' way here in the grand final rematch. Of course, they were beaten by 10 goals that day, the home side. Brisbane most impressive across the entire month of September. Blakey goes beyond defensive 50. Milliken marks on the flank. Out to find Corey Warner, one of their 2 goal kickers so far today. He was legged there quite late by Ainsworth. There won't be a 50. Yes, there will. It does come late, but not for the first time in this game. Corey Warner will have a further advantage here for a shot at goal.
Very crafty small forward there, playing for a free kick to get as much advantage as he can.
It's always a good sign as well from a stoppage to be able to break free. It's obviously a bit of a set play where they've got together and organised something. So it shows a bit of team organisation. They're all on the same page, working together, which is a great sign for the Swans.
Feels like a very short 50. That could be the old 15 metres.
Yeah.
He's going to march a fair way on the run-up, though. He's going to kick from probably 40 by the time he gets there. So they will be his choosing. Signed for an extra 2 years last week. Corey Warner, he's got 2 goals here so far this afternoon. Will ignite the Swans in the grand final rematch. 3 straight 18. They lead the Brisbane Lions, the reigning premiers, who get their campaign underway today. The Lions have just the 1 behind. It was the first score of the game. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, your experts Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
I might just throw something maybe a little controversial out, first time back. They signed him for 2 years. Is that to try and keep his other brother there?
Yeah. I was just going to say that. That is the theory around. They're doing everything they can, Sydney, and keeping Corey Warner happy might be one of the little moves.
Not saying he's not deserving his spot in the team, but he's been playing, Anyway,
you got to keep,
who knows?
You got to keep
the first
your
one to make that
happy.
point.
You got to keep him happy.
Exactly right.
Well, he's been given a chance, and he is paying Dean Cox back in the early stages of the grand final rematch. Corey Warner with 2 goals. His brother Chad barely sighted. The younger Warner brother doing the business. 3 straight 18, the Swans. Brisbane 1 behind. Saturday footy, ABC Sport. Amarty in the ruck. He's tackled. Ball spills free. Rayner on a standing start. Pumps it inside 50. And Hipwood's taken the mark. A push in the back though against him. On Blakey, who's been superb early on, Nick Blakey. Hipwood struggling to get in the game. Pushed Blakey in the back to try and take the mark. And the umpires paid the free kick against him. Blakey goes short to Ben Patton, the former Saint, who's marked it in the right back pocket.
Just the 4 games last year in his final year at the Saints. 3 as the sub. At a new club here. Left foot kick beyond offensive 50. Andrews up in front. McCartan there for the Swans. Neil at the drop. Hands away to Starcevic. Sweeps it wide. Back to Rayner. Off a couple of steps. Goes wide, still here. Dunked down the pressure. It comes from Blakey. And the ball out of bounds for a throw-in.
He's been good, Blakey. He's been good in the air, intercept marking, and then once again on the ground there, closing that space. It looks like it's a real point of view where they're really trying to close that space, not giving the Lions any space at all.
Get time on here in the opening term. The Swans by 17 points. The Lions without Charlie Cameron. And also lost Kai Lohman a short time ago, potentially. We'll see how bad it is shortly. And also Logan Morris, who got a head knock a short time ago. Ball comes back to the wing here for the Sydney Swans. Just forward of attack, and now Zorko can't control it. It's out of bounds for a throw-in between wing and half forward at the Randwick end of the SCG. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
So a reminder that the Lions have just had 2 on the bench for the last 3 or 4 minutes, but Logan Morris has got attention to the inside of his mouth. He's been patched up, still spitting out blood, but I reckon he's going to be good to come back on the ground shortly.
Amati works his way to the front in front of Darcy Fort. Wicks tries to slap it forward. Berry's well tackled by Hanley, the second gamer. Excellent work, youngster. Spills free to McGlaggage. He tries to get free of Hanley. Puts another strong tackle on. And the Swans win it as a result. McInerney to Grundy and now Jordan. His kick is a little bit skinny and bounces once over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in deep in attack for the Swans. Well done, Tom Hanley. 2 massive tackles just to work the ball forward for Sydney.
He's ferocious, isn't he? He's great. I've been really impressed with his start of this first quarter with him. He's just really getting in and putting a lot of pressure.
Out of the ruck, Marty. Papley is lurking, keeps it alive. Swings around, left foot, kicks, centering ball. Corey Warner is there. Jake Lloyd back to Corey on the bounce. Can't retrieve it. Got some pressure there from the Lions defence. There to retrieve it now. Ainsworth off to Levi Ashcroft and goes wide to Jasper Fletcher. Has a bounce on the outer wing. And bright sunshine here at a warm SCG. Archie turns away from Hanlon and he's run down. Deliberate is the call. Either way, holding the ball probably likely as well, but it's a Sydney ball just sort of halfway on the outer side. Declan Byrne, down to you.
Connor McKenna, he wasn't in the 23 about an hour and a half ago. He's now been subbed into the game. We haven't seen Kai Lohman, so I assume that is the sub out for the Lions. First quarter, McKenna subbed in.
Swans by 17. Darcy Fort takes an intercept mark here inside defensive 50 for the Brisbane Lions.
So Hanley with 3 massive tackles early on, the youngster. He's energising the SCG. That's a good grab on the outer wing by Calamachi. Just behind the wing, in fact. Sydney 3 straight 18. Brisbane 1 behind. Saturday footy ABC Sport, and they've turned it over. The Lions. The number 4 in Archie finding his opposing number in Brodie Grundy. Works it forward to Jake Lloyd. The 2-time club champion just forward of the wing for the Swans. Gets moving now. Kicks deep into attack. Amati's there as he's Papley looking for a crumb. It falls over the back. Papley will soccer it through. No, he won't. He missed it. Gathers it on the second attempt though. Works it back to Florent. Florent on the left will snap. It'll float across the face and off hands. That looked for all money like a Tom Papley goal. Loves those situations. It didn't quite sit up for him, but he didn't quite connect either. We'll have the boundary throw in deep in attack for Sydney.
Their last couple of forward entries, I don't think they can go those long balls in. It just suits Brisbane's defence. I think they've got to try and pick their eyes out of them a bit more.
The voice of Ryan O'Keefe on ABC Sport. Back in it comes inside 50 for the Sydney Swans. Berry extracts the footy, leaves a Marty in his wake and goes beyond defensive 50 here. There's a couple of Swans who'll raffle it, and Grundy takes a towering mark on the eastern wing. 3 straight 18 the Swans. The Lions are 1 behind. They've subbed out Kai Lohman due to injury. And Connor McKenna, as he was the sub on grand final day last year against his same opponent, he is into the action quite early. Also without Charlie Cameron today. And post Joe Danaher's career, Patton for the Swans finds Roberts from the bullseye at the SCG, goes inside 50. It's picked off down there by Berry, and it remains a 17-point result or margin so far for the Sydney Swans on ABC Sport.
24 and a half gone in the first term. Brisbane under pressure. Fort just chips it to Harris Andrews. Deep in defence. He works it to the debutant, Levi Ashcroft. Picked 5 in last year's draft. Many said he could have gone number 1. Brisbane knew they were getting him. He works it up to the wing. The Swans converge. Blakey didn't quite connect with the punch, and it's a good tackle. It looked like a good tackle by Dunkley on Roberts, but it slipped a little bit high. So a free kick to Roberts on the outer wing, and at the moment Brisbane can't get across halfway.
Sydney's defence is looking a lot tighter this year. They're not zoning off as much and just shutting down all Brisbane's outlets.
Roberts kick down the line here for the Swans. Out to a 2-on-2. Grundy at the drop, pops it inside 50, a little too short. Coughed up there by Zorko though. Pressure ball here for the Brisbane defence, and now again they pile in from all angles, and umpire Brett Roseberry says give it to me. A stoppage 40 out from the Swans attacking goal at the Randwick end. They lead by 17 points the home side.
Grundy tries to get it down to McInerney. Looking forward is Corey Warner. 2 goals to his name already. Berry finds it for Brisbane. Quick handball from Ashcroft. Try to get it back from Lockie Neal. It just bounces in front of him and over the boundary line. So a throw in. Left half forward, just outside 50 for the Swans, who are 3 straight 18. Brisbane 1 behind in the grand final rematch. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Here's Brett Sprigg.
Very warm conditions. We'll have longer quarter time and 3/4 time breaks. Back in it comes. Grundy and Fort in the ruck. McCluggage, hand pass over his shoulder, picked off there by Corey Warner. Little 1-2 with Brodie Grundy. Walks around one of the Ashcrofts, and now Jake Lloyd can finish with a snap from 35. You betcha. A man who played in his 4th losing grand final against this same opponent last year kicks another goal for the Sydney Swans. They're out to a 23-point break early on. 4 straight 24. The Lions are 1 behind. 27 going to the opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Norm Smith medalist Ryan O'Keefe and dual Lions best and fairest Joel Patfull.
Well, it's a repeat inside 50s. It just builds that pressure on that Lions defence, and Ford handballs through a stoppage. You don't usually see that much space inside a back 50 stoppage, but a few of the Lions defenders sagged off a little bit and gave the Swans that space through the front of the stoppage. Clean hands through the front. Lloyd getting on the end, and a great finish by the Swans.
Yeah, they've had to really kick their goals through that contest stoppage sort of work. Their probably last 3 or 4 entries inside 50. The Swans haven't been clean. They've been trying to get inside 50 entries from too far back and not getting it deep enough. But when they're clean and around that contest, they're really dangerous for those hands. And Jakey Lloyd, he's been such a consistent player for a long period of time. It's good to see him hit the scoreboard.
Played game 250 last week. That's the 43rd goal of his illustrious career. The 4th goal for the Swans in this first term. 4 straight 24. Brisbane 1 behind. We'll have a ball up right next to where the bounce was taken. Middle of the SCG. Late stages of the first term. Well done by Will Ashcroft. Got it to Zorko. Lions need to get something going in this first quarter. Well worked down by Fort to Rayner. Just gives it. Don't argue to Matt Roberts. Left foot snap is just wide. Showed his strength there, Cam Rayner. Came to the fore last season for Brisbane. The former #1 draft pick. Almost capped off an excellent goal there.
Saturday footy on ABC Sport. The Lions have subbed out Kyle Lemon with a left ankle injury. So Connor McKenna's out there. As the Swans bring it toward the outer side. Heaney's hand pass a little wayward. It goes out of bounds for a throw-in on the outer side. Just by the way, at Albert Park, second round of qualifying is wrapped up at Albert Park, and unfortunately Aussie Jack Doohan didn't make it through. Good news though for Oscar Piastri is he's through to Q3. That session will start shortly. We'll keep you across all that as soon as it's finished. Jack Doohan will start tomorrow's main race from 14th on the grid. There you go. So more from that and more from Declan Byrne on the boundary shortly as well. Bouncing ball picked off by Will Ashcroft. Gets it back here to Ainsworth. Off a step. Rayner leaps up inside 50. One-handed grab. Controls it beautifully on the way down. And he'll take a set shot here from 45 out. Slight angle right of centre.
He's the one that's going to be very dangerous. The Swans are going to have to put some time in. It's 2 plays in a row where he's just got absolute class and strength to be able to do that. He's a super player. They're going to have to really watch him. If Brisbane are going to get up, it's going to be because of off the back of Cam Rayner.
All-Australian squad last year. He re-signed after the grand final until 2031. He strikes it from 50 here. On its way, the set shot comes up just short, but it's marked on the behind line by Darcy Fort. And he himself, no, Mark has not been paid.
They might review this.
They might review this to see if it has gone through for Brian, just for something fun. The Swans lead by 22 points as it currently stands. We just hit the half-hour mark of the opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
just confirming as well, he's got a bit of a busted lip, but he's back out there, Logan Morris. So past any tests, and he's back in the Brisbane Lions forward line.
Otherwise, that forward line would be well decimated based on the fact that no Charlie Cameron and no Kyle Lohman for the rest of today as well.
Look at that's a mark.
Looks close, doesn't it?
Just be in.
Seeing a replay of this. It looks sort of from behind the post.
Doesn't have to, only part of the ball have to be over to be a point?
As long as he controls it before, I think they'll pay it. So the Lions want no score. That's their best option. Mark is the call. There you go. It's on the big screen. So it will be Darcy Fort.
Well, that's unforgivable for the Swans. Allow that.
He's deep in the left forward pocket. Come off his line here, you'd think, the big man. Played in that grand final last year in Oscar McInerney's stead, and he kicks a goal here. It's the Lions' first of the afternoon. A much needed major for the visitors and reigning premiers. They're 1-8. They trail the Sydney Swans, who are 4 straight 24. 31 gone in the opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
Well, that's right. You said it. It's unforgivable, isn't it? On the goal line, as a coach, it's the last thing you want to see. You want your defenders and your ruckman to just kill that ball. They're all there and just kind of let it happen. The Lions hadn't had one mark inside 50 until that bit of play. So Rayner took a mark inside 50. Fort takes a mark inside 50. Results in a goal. The Swans' defence have been so good, killing every contest, ruthless. It's the one thing you don't want to see going into the into the quarter-time break. An easy goal on the goal line like that.
Yeah, spot on. I think that's with Darcy Fort. He's obviously got himself that spot to be that key forward that go pinch hit in that second ruck. So if he can do take marks and kick goals, I think that's going to be the spot for him all year.
Former Cat, he's a good footballer. Only played 3 games in 2024. We'll have a rebound in the middle of the ground. One of them, though, was the grand final. That's all that matters.
The other player that picked up was Sam Day, who unfortunately is not playing today. His father sadly passed away during the week. The players are wearing black armbands for him and some past players who died in the off-season. But Sam Day might well be that big body as well, either end of the ground.
Long first term, 32 minutes gone. Swans by 16 points, and it's a free kick to Rowbottom. In the middle of the SCG, goes straight down the corridor for Amati to leap at it. Chad Warner's down there, couldn't collect. Berry's under pressure for Brisbane. Got the kick away in the nick of time, and then it bounces off the shoelaces of Florent down there, so it'll be out of bounds on the full. And a free kick to Levi Ashcroft, left back pocket. Chad Warner just the one disposal in the first term. He's been quiet, but the Swans don't mind too much. They're up by 16 points.
Levi Ashcroft on debut. Kicks to a pack on the wing. Down it comes here for Patton. He was dispossessed in the tackle down there of Logan Morris. And now the loose footy is gathered by Florent. In fact, Wicks it was who was manhandled there by Dunkley. The umpire brought up again in the shadows of the Barongal stand.
Chad's been playing forward, though. He hasn't been playing much in him. He's been playing forward and coming up as that extra forward at the stoppage. That must be his role at the moment.
Swans by 16 as the player up his Rowbottom. Umpire throws it in the air. Down there for Dunkley, reaching for it. Shares it there with Will Ashcroft. His kick up and under goes onto the chest of Wicks. Not paid, though. According to the umpire, Dunkley and Rampy set out of bounds, and that will be thrown back in. Will Ashcroft, by the way, Levi Ashcroft is 2.5 years younger than Will. Of course, pick 5, the father-son selection from last year.
And wearing his dad's old number.
Yes.
5 disposals for Levi on debut. Late stages of the first term. Swans by 16 points. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Boundary throw in. Smack bang on the wing. Picked up by Will Ashcroft. Excellent handball to Zorko. Gets it going over the top to Rayner. They try to work it to half forward, the Lions, but Sydney have cut it off through Rampy. Good work there by Patton. Dangerous handball by McInerney. Has turned it back over. Rayner picks it up. Did well to stand up in the tackle and get it to Hipwood. Snapping ball is up and under. It wasn't a crisp connection from Hipwood. Floats through for a behind. So Brisbane are 139. Sydney 4 straight 24. 34.5 minutes gone in the first term. We had that long delay because of the Logan Morris injury.
You would have caught the tail end of Marcus Ashcroft's career, Ryan O'Keefe. Did you play against their dad?
Oh, I think I did, actually.
He retired in 03. So
yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
McCartan plays on here on the outer wing of the SCG as Dunkley is met high by Amati and accordingly will receive the free kick.
Thanks for making me feel old, mate.
Swans by 15 points. 4 straight plays Brisbane 1-3. 35 gone on the opening term, as Garvey said. There was a delay there for the Logan Morris, Zach Bailey friendly fire, but the biggest concern is the fact that Kyle Lohman has been subbed out with a left ankle injury. Swans bring it back inside 50 through Corey Warner. A little too deep was the kick down there for Tom McCartan. Circling down there is Hanley. Lions have numbers in defence. It'll come back to Berry. His kick was smothered. Ricochets all the way back there for Starcevic. He's standing at full back. Retreats there under pressure from Hanley. Kicks long to the outer side. 1-on-1, and Ainsworth gets the better of Corey Warner right on the quarter-time siren. But Corey Warner has had the better of most of them so far. He's kicked 2 goals so far for the Sydney Swans. Braden Campbell kicked the first goal of the game. And Jake Lloyd also with a goal on the run in that opening term for the Sydney Swans, while Darcy Fort has the only major for the Brisbane Lions. It's 4 straight 24 for the Brisbane Lions, 1-3-9. Before we break very briefly, Declan Byrne on the boundary.
There was that heavy collision right before the siren. Armadi clattering into Dunkley. He's still hobbling, so a right quad issue for Joel Armadi. You'll keep an eye on that during the break.
It's a game of grand final intensity. Of course, the stakes are nowhere near as high as the last time these sides met 168 days ago. And the Lions saluted to the tune of 60 points on that last Saturday in September. This is the first Saturday of the 2025 AFL season. It's coming away. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
The Socceroos are back on ABC Sport as they try to book their place in the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Right into the 6-yard box and puts it in. It's his second of the night, and it's a well-crafted goal by the Socceroos.
Catch all the action Thursday night on the ABC Listen app. The World Test Championship is coming.
He gets connection here, lifts it over the keeper, 1 bounce for 4.
Australia versus South Africa.
And he nicks it, he's got him again.
Catch every ball on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Campbell sharks the football off the ruck tap and snaps beautifully from the pocket. Well, something out of nothing for Sydney. Braden Campbell's trusty left foot is the first goal of the grand final rematch. Goes back to Hayward, who tries to centre it for Corey Warner and finds him. They recover that so well, the Swans. Warner will get 50, so he'll kick from directly in front, and now it's on. Jared Berry took down Warner late after taking the mark. Warner slams it through.
Out to find Corey Warner, one of their 2 goal kickers so far today. He was legged there quite late by Ainsworth. There won't be a 50. Yes, there will. Signed for an extra 2 years last week. Corey Warner, he's got 2 goals here so far this afternoon. Will ignite the Swans in the grand final rematch.
Connor McKenna, he wasn't in the 23 about an hour and a half ago. He's now been subbed into the game. We haven't seen Kyle Lohman, so I assume that is the sub out for the Lions. First quarter, McKenna subbed in.
Kicked off there by Corey Warner, little 1-2 with Brody Grundy. Walks around one of the Ashcrofts, and now Jake Lloyd can finish with a snap from 35. You betcha. On its way, the set shot comes up just short, but it's marked on the behind line by Darcy Fort. Played in that grand final last year in Oscar Macken instead, and he kicks a goal here. It's the Lions' first of the afternoon.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The Sydney Swans by 15 points at the first change. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Ryan O'Keefe, Joel Patfull and Declan Byrne. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. 31 degrees here in Sydney's inner east, and as a result the teams during the longer quarter time break are huddled up in the shadows of the grandstands on the western side of the ground. It was also quite warm earlier in Geelong, and it was the Cats that were hot for the most part anyway. They won by 78 points over Fremantle, 23-9, 147 to 10-9, 69. Freo was down by 10 goals just prior to half-time. They got within 21 points at three-quarter time thanks to Murphy Reid on debut. 4 goals in 6 minutes. In the end, the Cats powered away in that final term. They kicked 10 goals to win by 78 in the end. And the 3 best players in the ABC Footballer of the Year, Bailey Smith, Sam de Koning and Isaac Humphries, as given by Luke Ball and Adam Manaskis. Later on, it'll be the Bulldogs in North Melbourne at Docklands. For most of our audience, otherwise through South Australia, Western Australia and Northern Territory, you'll get Collingwood versus Port Adelaide at the MCG. Of course, you can find a full call of either of those games. Just get on the ABC Listen app and look for the AFL or AFL Extra buttons. 15 points, the Swans lead the grand final rematch here at the SCG. Your experts, Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
Yeah, look, I think the Swans brought the pressure early around the contest. They were cleaner, and their forward pressure, particularly by young Hanley, he's been fantastic. Even that last bit of play there, he was the only one trying to put pressure on Brisbane to make it hard for them to get out. McCartan's been busy down there, so I just think their entries going forward could be a little bit cleaner, or they just need that one more connection before they go inside 50, because if they're just going to launch it from 70 to 80 metres out, it's going to suit Brisbane's key defenders. So, look, I think the Swans dominated that quarter. They'll be unhappy with that last goal to Fort, because the scoreboard's sort of making it a little bit more flattering than what it really should be.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right in that they were cleaner. They were cleaner through the stoppage in their possession. That last entry inside 50, like you said, 15 inside 50s, only one mark inside 50, so they haven't been able to hit that target and connect those forwards. On the flip side, the Lions just look a step off, don't they? So there's a lot of talk last week about teams being prepared for round one and how they look. It's a hot day. There was a lot of players down on their knees then at quarter time, which is, the first quarter of footy into the season for them, and they did look visibly tired. So we'll see how they fare for the rest of the game, but they just look a step off. And the concern is their forward power, their forward line kicking goals. They still had 11 inside 50s, but they didn't look super dangerous when they went inside 50s. So they'd be worried about that and how they're going to generate a score to kick a winning score today.
The late out was Charlie Cameron with a calf issue, and Kai Lohman was subbed out with a left ankle complaint in that first term as well. So they still have 21 of their 23 grand final winning players. Conor McKenna, who was the sub last year in the grand final, the sub again here today. But you mentioned that preparation point, Joel Pat. Well, the fact is, they were supposed to start their campaign 9 days ago. So it's kind of a weird thing for the Lions, because they would have come ready to play for that game last Thursday against Geelong, albeit, of course, then the cyclone threat happens and they're then in a holding pattern for 9 further days. And so I suppose they would have been tuned up for the most part, and yet a slow start here today.
Well, the one thing you can't replicate in a pre-season is match day intensity. Yep. So you can train as hard as you want, you can have trial games, and most of these guys have probably had, one intra-club, one trial game, and they had a bit of an intra-club last week as well. So you can't replicate in front of 30,000 people. The other team's already had one game under their belt. So it's a completely different thing than running around in the pre-season. So that's what gets you.
Plus both these teams played in the grand finals, so their preparation's shorter than any other club. You could even see last week with the Swans against Hawthorn just looked a little bit sharper, or they were able to sort of run the game out a bit stronger. And you can see with the Swans having a cider and a game last week, they look much cleaner, much sharper.
A few numbers, Garby.
Nick Blakey, 10 disposals, couple of intercept marks, 2 score involvements. He's been great in the first term for Sydney. Chad Warner, just the one handball. He's been quiet. Swans won't mind too much with a 15-point lead. Cam Rayner, 9 possessions, 4 score involvements, 3 inside 50s and a couple of behinds, leading the way for Brisbane. Will Ashcroft busy as well, the Norm Smith medalist, with 8 disposals. On debut, Levi Ashcroft has the 5 touches. And we should mention Corey Warner as well. A couple of goals in that first quarter, 3 score involvements, 5 possessions for the Swans.
I can see Chad's gone into the centre bounce now. He was playing forward. I think they're doing a roll on Zorko. I can see there's McInerney on there, because Warner in that first quarter was engaging Zorko, coming up to the stoppage. Maybe just that was a bit of a plan they're going into the game.
You mentioned Kai Lohman subbed out. No movement as yet for the Swans sub. Riley Bice on debut, their 24-year-old mature age pickup last year from Albury via Werribee. Down it comes here. Grundy wins it there for Chad Warner. Bursts through some little laneway there of space towards half back. He kicks back to the members' wing. Jasper Fletcher is there for the Brisbane Lions. Traps it now. Fires the hand pass. Back inboard for McInerney. And now McCluggage to the outside again. Fletcher evades the tackle of Jordan. He meets Campbell head on, and the umpire says, yep, in the ball. Good double team there. Jordan and Campbell. The Swans get it back on the members' wing. They lead by 15 points, that quarter time margin.
Jordan and Campbell sounds like an NBA backcourt in the 90s. The tackling was superb. It's been a feature of Sydney's game so far, this grand final rematch. Far more intense than the Lions. Good lead by Amadi. Takes the mark, kicks him inside 50. Heaney flew across the pack, couldn't quite grab it. Leicester tries to clear defensive 50, and McInerney does really well to take the mark. Touched as the umpire, though. So play on. Grundy to Florent. Darts around Levi Ashcroft and centres it beautifully. For Corey Warner down there, he'll be kicking for his 3rd. 40 out, slight angle to the right, and I reckon it all started with the tackling from Campbell and Jordan.
It did, but that forward entry there was really composed by Florent. The previous entry was long, high ball. Harris Andrews said thanks very much, went bang, but that one was a bit more precise, and that's how you're going to score against Brisbane Lions.
So Corey Warner, fair to say when it comes to the headlines, his brother leads the way. But he's lining up for goal number 3 early on in this clash at the SCG, and it just floats across the face through Frey behind. The first for the Swans, they are 4-1-25. Brisbane 1-3-9. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, down to Declan Byrne.
Kai Lohmann has emerged in a moon boot and on crutches, so that left ankle not looking good. Second week in a row, the away team has suffered an ankle injury. It was Warple last week, and this week it is Lohmann.
The Lions go beyond offensive 50, the contest with McInerney and Grundy, and they both see out of bounds for a throw-in. By the way, Lando Norris has denied their hometown hero Oscar Piastri the chance to qualify fastest for the Australian Grand Prix tomorrow. Piastri's second fastest for tomorrow's race to give McLaren a front row lockout. So there you go with those McLaren teammates. Norris and Piastri. Back in it comes. One down by Grundy. Heaney's kick smothered inside 50 here. It'll bounce away there for Answorth. Here evades Campbell. Going to be careful. He's run down. Second time in 5 minutes. Braden Campbell affects the tackle. This time closer to goal. Opportunity here for the Sydney Swans.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. That's what they're bringing at the moment, the Swans. They're really just... And it's their lesser light players that are bringing the heat. They can obviously, hey, there's an opportunity for me to cement myself in the team. I've got to do these little things to impress Coxie.
Well, it's something. The Lions are trying to fend that first tackle as well, aren't they? They're trying to get their hands free like they always do and feed off the handball. But the Swans have been able to work through that, keep the hand in, not allow that possession out, and get the hold in the ball, which is good to see.
Braden Campbell was the Swan sub in last year's Premiership decider. He's going to kick on a tight angle here from 25 out and just nurses it through. His second goal of the afternoon. And the Swans extend their lead out to 22 points. 5-1-31. They play the Brisbane Lions 1-3-9. We've played 3.5 minutes in the second quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, by the way. So Formula 1 qualifying, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen, that top 3 tomorrow. And Jack Doohan will start 14th on the grid for Alpine. Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patton.
He's a beautiful kick, Braden Campbell. Maybe coming up playing as that small pressure forward is a new role for him this year that he'll thrive in, because when he does get opportunity kicking goals, he's a beautiful kick.
This is the year for him, isn't it? I mean, he's a top 5 draft pick. He only averaged 10 disposals a game last season, struggled to cement his spot, was given a new 2-year contract in the pre-season. It feels like this is the year that he has to go to that next level.
Yeah, he's playing more of that lockdown defender role. So, look, if he averages 10 to 12 possessions, we can kick 2 goals a game. That's really good value for a small forward.
Swans by 22 points, 4 minutes gone in the second term. Saturday footy, ABC Sport. The Lions need to get going. Good kick by McInerney. McGluggage dropped it. Bailey picked it up though. Cruises through but misses a shot that you'd expect Zach Bailey to convert. That's his bread and butter. The speedy half forward on the run just floats it across the face. And Brisbane are 1-4-10. Sydney 5-1-31.
The Swans had the slow start in their season opener last week, which of course was the season opener against Hawthorn. Maybe it's the Lions' turn today. Still a long way to go though. Out of the back 50, the kick comes to Isaac Heaney. Down the pipe now for Grundy. Dummies the hand pass. Options running alongside him. Heaney is there in position. Now kicks out to half forward. Hayward, second bite. Takes the mark over Dunkley. Not paid though, in fact. Florent does soccer it inside 50 now. Low ball there for Jack Payne. Hand pass picked off by Braden Campbell. Answorth can usher him toward the boundary line for a throw-in. Deep in attack for the Brisbane Lions at the Paddington end of the SCG. It's the Swans who lead by 21 points. 5 gone second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Just a bit fumbly. Lions are just not clean. As we spoke at the break before, having that game is sort of not, missing that game sort of not helped them with their cleanness.
McInerney taps it down to McCluggage. High ball to the wing. Grundy's there. Puts a big tackle on Archie. It was illegal though, according to the umpire. Grundy threw Archie to the ground when he didn't have the football. So Archie has it now, courtesy of the free kick. You work it up to half forward. The target is Logan Morris, who throws his head back in disgust because it's a poor kick from Archie. It's out of bounds on the full. It's 5 metres out in front of Logan Morris. And Hamling, in his first game as a Sydney Swan, will take the free kick at left half back.
Down the members' wing, Amadi up in front. That's some pressure from Andrews. Marty follows up at ground level, now shares it with the left footer in Jordan, goes across his body, and it's marked by Hayward this time. Just forward to the wing. Options upfield there for the Sydney Swans. 21 points their lead, 6.5 gone second quarter. Hayward bombs it long inside 50. Up in front and intercepting down there is Berry.
They've got to stop doing that. We just keep doing. They've got to find one more connection to get a more precise entry.
And look to share it with Wilmot. And now McCluggage in the left back pocket. The out of the side of the ground of the SCG. Bathed in very warm sunshine. Hand pass comes back inboard. Berry keeps running. Sweeps the hand pass forward now. What can they do inside forward 50 the Brisbane Lions? High ball inside 50. Hipwood's out the back. Bounced off his chest. Archie can soccer it through. No, he leaves it there. And it rolls through. So it's come off.
It's a back heel.
It was a back heel off Hipwood.
It was Archie.
It was Archie. So in the end he was trying to trap that footy on the deep in the goal square. And I fancy it wasn't even really a last touch, but he must have felt like it was his little back heel there. Yep, accidental. Wow. As he was trying to pick up that footy, came off his back of his left ankle.
Oh, you can't claim that, can you?
Didn't have to kick it again. He just sort of ushered his own kick through. So there you go. A very unlucky goal there from a most likely goal scorer, Callum Archie. And they cut the Swans lead back to 15 points. 5-1 plays 2-4. 8 gone second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
It's come off his calf.
It doesn't look like it hit his boot, does it? But
no.
You take where you can get. It didn't look like they were going to get through. It was the Swans defender on the outer side. I didn't see who it was, but he came forward to defend and didn't impact the contest, which opened up their whole defence. They've been zoning off so well and coming forward when they need to, but you've got to impact that contest. Hold up that ball on the wing.
8 minutes gone in the second term. The Swans lead cut back to 15 points. It feels like that flatters Brisbane. That's a poor bounce by the umpire, so we'll do it again. It feels like that flatters the Lions, doesn't it, on the balance of play? Inside 50s, 20 to Sydney, 13 to Brisbane, but they're hanging in there, the Premiers. Grundy and McInerney. Grundy palms it down. Off the line is Berry. And now McCluggage, who's been busy, gathers it. Goes back to Berry, does a 360. His kick is a grubber one, though. Through the hands of Grundy, though, at centre-half back. Morris puts a nice tackle on. And then Heaney does the secondary work on Zach Bailey. Well done, Archie. Got it to Ashcroft. Now Bailey, inside 50 for Brisbane. Hipwood with the big swipe. Bailey was caught holding the ball, though. Another good tackle by the Swans deep in defence. This time it's Wicks.
That new defensive
dangerous
role.
Kick to Heaney through his hands.
Heaney. It's up here. McCluggage gets there first to the Brisbane Lions. His hand pass looking for McKenna. And now Patton goes to him, or walled up at half forward for the Brisbane Lions on the outer side. Sam Wicks' new defensive role. Ryan O'Keefe, Joel Patfull, do you rate it?
Yeah, I think it's good. It looks like Campbell and Wicks are swapped, and they're just finding something new and refreshing, and they look comfortable in it.
Swans by 15. High kick to the outer wing. It's come away there from Andrews. Starcevic out the back. Picks up the loose footy. His kick a little loose as well. Over the head of Levi Ashcroft. Goes to soccer at forward. Rampy can't get there. Ashcroft follows up, shares it there with brother Will. Going inside 50 now, the Brisbane Lions. Bounce a little wide there of Logan Morris. Milliken suckers to advantage. Hand pass away here. Back to Rampy. And now they can rebound through Sam Wicks.
They go to half forward. Campbell's there. He lost Starcevic in the contest. Starcevic, with all his experience, takes the mark at right half back. Brisbane getting back into this game now. Zorko's kick isn't great. Put Levi Ashcroft under a whole lot of pressure. Warner, though, had his tackle slip high. That was unnecessary from the Swan superstar. So Levi Ashcroft, his 8th disposal on debut. All the hype. You're starting to understand why it exists. His kick to half forward bounces nicely for Hamling of the Swans, who centre it now for McInerney. Just outside the shadows on the wing of the SCG. He'll go the big switch and spot up Jordan. And now they can play on. Jordan goes to Patton.
Goes inside, forward 50 does Patton, looks for an option down there. Hannelly was outbodied by Harris Andrews. The spoil comes over his shoulder, out of bounds for a throw-in deep at right full forward. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Just an update on that Kai Lohmann injury. So it was a tackle by Matt Roberts, and as he was tackled, his body went 360, but his left foot, the stud sort of grabbed in the ground, didn't go with the body, so he grabbed his high left ankle, which generally syndesmosis. Yeah,
that's why he was subbed out in the first quarter. Tap down here comes to Chad Warner. He's collected strongly as well by Duntley. It comes loose. And now Oscar McInerney just dump it clear from defence. It's intercepted though by Rampy on the outer side of the Swans.
Rampy goes back to Blakey, who dropped the mark. That's trouble for the Swans. Archie picked it up. It's a vacant goal square for Zach Bailey to kick at and convert. Well, an elementary mistake from Nick Blakey. He was the deepest man in defence and dropped, as you'd call it in the slips, an absolute soda. Picked up by Archie, gave it to Bailey, and the rest is history. He kicked truly. The Swans' lead is back to 9 points.
I just don't like giving up territory like that. I know he dropped an easy mark, but there's no need to go back that way. But look, all three Brisbane's goals, if you're looking in the Swans coaching box, you can go, they really shouldn't have, all three of them really shouldn't have happened. They were just easy giveaways for all the hard work we've been doing controlling this game.
Well, both teams have been a little bit scrappy, haven't they? Swans going forward, turning it over. The Lions coming out of their back line have been turning over a lot as well. So this quarter, the last probably 5 or 6 minutes, no team has been able to build up play, hold possession for the entirety of the ground. It's turned a little bit scrappy, hasn't it?
Voice of Joel Patfull alongside Ryan O'Keefe, your ABC Sport experts. Saturday footy on ABC Sport, waiting for a clearance. Warner bursts by here. Chad for the Swans, closes to 50, goes himself and all the way. A goal inside 6 seconds for Chad Warner. He enters the game in a big way after a slow first quarter. The Swans get the immediate response. It's back out to a 15-point margin. 6-1, 37 plays, 3-4, 22. 13 gone, second term. As mentioned, Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Ryan O'Keefe, Joel Patfull.
That's just brilliant. Chad Warner reminds me of the young Chris Judd.
Yeah.
Absolute that power and that acceleration out of it. It was unbelievable. And he started this quarter now in the centre bounce where he's so dangerous, and you can just see like that. He just goes hard forward and kicks goals.
Well, it doesn't make sense to not have him in there, does it? When he's so dangerous and so powerful in there, you'd have him in there every time you can, and it's one way to stop the team from being a bit scrappy. You just take it on yourself and kick it from outside 50.
I think what they were trying to do before, that Jordan's doing a hard tag on Neil, so one of them had to pop out.
He might play for Chris Judd's old club.
I was going to say, that's why the West Coast Eagles want him badly to beat their next Chris Judd. But the Swans throwing everything at him. A lucrative 2-year deal to try keep him in Sydney for a little bit longer. Brisbane have it inside 50. Quick kick by Will Ashcroft. Bouncing ball. Down there is Patton with Connor McKenna, the sub. It bounces over for a boundary throw in. Deep in attack for Brisbane. So Warner's brilliance brings the lead back out to 15 points. Nearly 14 minutes gone in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Brisbane have worked their way back into this one. Boundary throw in deep in attack for them. Amadi and Andrews. It falls to Levi Ashcroft, who almost kicked his first goal in AFL footy. Threw it on the boot quickly and it hits the post. We're seeing now why this kid was rated so highly. It's as if he's played 50 games, never mind this being his first.
How good are some of these young kids that are just coming into the AFL and from game one turning it on? Like, to come to a stoppage like that, just have the confidence that he's the go-to. Missed the goal, but it was a fair effort.
We saw Murphy Reid kick 4 goals in 6 minutes for the Dockers, albeit the 78-point loss in Geelong in the game earlier. Swans by 14 here at the SCG. McCartan sends it wide beyond offensive 50. Hayward can't get there. Fletcher is there first for the Lions. Fresh air shot off the deck, and now it's bobbling out of bounds for a throw-in right into junction of 50 at right at half forward for the Brisbane Lions.
It almost feels unfair that the Premier's get a player of that quality the season after winning the premiership. 15 gone second term. 21 of their 23 players from last year. That grand final win out there today. Connor McKenna, though, activated in the first quarter because of Kyle Lohmann's left ankle injury. Here's Darcy Fort among them as well. And his kick goes out of bounds once more.
But in saying that, I like the tradition of the father, son, daughter, son, father, daughter, whatever it's going to be. I reckon it's a really good thing to keep that family ties within the club.
Because the only argument is that some will say is they need to give up more for players of that quality in terms of compensation. But I think everyone agrees that the tradition is fantastic. Here's his brother Will with a strong tackle on his opposing number 8, James Rowbottom.
Lucas Camporelli of the night, of course, made his debut.
Yep, young Lucas.
Ball
and
up.
his brother's there too as well.
Just outside attacking 50 for Brisbane, who trails Sydney by 14 points in the grand final rematch. The ball now rolls inside attack for the Lions. Picked up by McGluggage. Looks for the little handball too. Will Ashcroft. Well done, though, by Lloyd to gather it. And then picks it up at the second attempt. Rampy needs to get rid of it. He was under pressure. Does so. Down the corridor to Chad Warner, one-on-one. Deep in attack. He's given away the free kick, though, at the bigger body of Wilmot next to him. And Wilmot goes short and finds Noah Answorth.
Answorth in the centre circles. Pops it down the line here again. Finds the chest of Rayner. Follows up here. The hand pass comes back to the man running by, and it's just offline. That kick from Wilmot to the left-hand side for a behind. So it's the Swans 6-1-37. The Brisbane Lions 3-6-24. 17 gone second quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
The Lions have stabilised in a big way as Blakey takes a bounce. His kick, though, is dangerous at the bootlaces of Corey Warner. Did well to hold the football, though, and get it to Florent. Now, Chad Warner's dropped an easy mark. The second time the Swans have done that, will Brisbane make them pay again? Well, Warner's been caught holding the ball after that by Darcy Wilmot, who has it 52 out, left half forward. Blakey did that earlier. Bailey kicked the goal. Brisbane will look to make the Swans pay for a lack of concentration again. Zorko into attack. And the mark almost taken down there by Berry. Hipwood gathers. Couldn't get his hands on the football. Rampy has it now. The handball to Heaney, and now the Swans can exit defensive 50.
He does rebound to McCartan. He takes a clean mark in front of their Riley stand on the eastern side of the Sydney Cricket Ground. Swans by 13 points. McCartan goes down the line now. Harris Andrews comes third man in and spoils that into about row 10 in front of the scoreboard.
Do they realise he's one of the best defenders in the comp? Why kick a long ball to him?
There was Papley, and he had one other, plus Andrews coming in for company.
It must, like with this heat, it must be really slippery out there. It's been quite humid and everything, so I suspect a lot of these easy drop marks is just slippery ball.
I was going to say that the yellow footy as well, because it's a day to night game. The yellow footy during the day gets a bit slipperier.
Oh, Patley kicked into the bonce of Jared Berry. It bounces back here for Heaney, and his kick slides out just near the right behind post at the Paddington end of the SCG. Get to your text at half-time, 0437 774 774. There's a few things around the grounds to update as well. Most importantly here at the SCG, it's the Swans by 13 points.
And a boundary throw in. Deep in attack for Sydney. McCartan punches it forward. Jasper Fletcher lost the handle on it. Excellent smother by Rowbottom. Typical from him. And he's earned a boundary throw in deep in attack. James Rowbottom struggling to get involved in the game in terms of possessions, but his attack on the football is second to none in the AFL. He was second 4 tackles across the competition last season, behind only Matt Rao. And that was an excellent smother to trap it in attack. McCartan and Fort doing the ruck work. McCartan palms it down to Florent. Well done by McCluggage to knock him off the football. Dunkley gets it out to Answorth, and now Darcy Fort clears the area.
High ball read by Amadi. Leaves it there late for Blakey in the end. It bounces out towards Blakey. Hand pass down to Florent. Back to Amadi. His kick mark is spotted by McCluggage. And ricochet out here towards Levi Ashcroft. Now back to Brother Will. Hand pass here on the deck as man slotting was Hanley, but it's going to be a free kick going the way of Will Ashcroft. It was legged. Now his kick goes again along that boundary line. McCluggage gets some good pressure there from Wicks, and it will be somehow still a Brisbane Lions ball. Kick will skid wide here as they go inside forward 50. Out to a 2-on-2. Out the back is Bailey. Gathers, kicks, and does snap truly for his second goal of the afternoon. There's a nice chain there from the Brisbane Lions. Morris involved with that inside 50, and Zach Bailey with that loose ball get. And he finishes strongly. Margin back to 7 points. The Swans are 6-1-37. The Lions are 4-6-30. We're about at the time on mark in this second quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Joel Patfull and Ryan O'Keefe.
Well, they've done well to hang around the Lions. They're not doing anything special. They're just getting the ball inside 50. They're putting a bit of pressure on. And Zach Bailey's so dangerous inside 50. You can't give him too much space. I think it was a missed tackle from Jake Lloyd. Just too quick inside 50 with a little bit of space. Zach Bailey, so beautiful finish. But looks like they've made a bit of a change defensively as well as the Lions. It looks like Payne is going to McCartan when he goes up the ground, which is allowing Andrews to drop off and be that intercept that he's always trying to be. A bit of a change because he was going with him in that first quarter, dragging him up the ground.
It was, yeah. And I think it's just got a bit scrappy by the Swans the last 4 or 5 minutes, so they just haven't been able to be clean to kick through Brisbane's defence.
Zach Bailey with 2 goals in the second term. Swans lead back to 7 points, and now Heaney's kick is turned over. Centre half back Wilmot's taken the mark. Goes short to Dunkley. Inside 50 again, Brisbane go. Over the head of Rayner, who's been brilliant. Tap forward by Fort. Well done, Melican. Read it well and socketed it off the ground. Out of the area. Zorko, though, taps it to Jasper Fletcher, who's got a target in the pocket, and he hits it up in the form of Eric Hipwood. He's on the wrong side for a left footer. But Brisbane, with the game on their terms now, Hipwood with the chance to cut the margin back to a point.
You're right, they're just hanging in Brisbane. They're just getting those little touches. They're starting to get a little bit cleaner. Swans just can't get any chain, and they're just too many turnovers. And you can't give a side like Brisbane too many opportunities for free looks at the ball.
Eric Hipwood, 33 goals last season, fourth most for Brisbane. The leader of the attack now in the absence of Joe Danaher. From 35 out, wrong angle for a left footer. That was always the danger that he'd miss on the skinny side. So a clean goal, the lead now by Sydney. Brisbane have done well to work it back. 22 minutes gone in the second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, they're actually winning contested possession 53-76 to the Lions. So you say they hang in there. They're winning clearance as well. So they are controlling some key parts of the game.
That's the voice of former Lion and Giant Joel Patfull. As his kick out skids beyond defensive 50, it's going to be a free kick for a hold going the way of Noah Answorth. He's at right half forward. Sends it deep into attack here. Out in the pocket, up in front, Archie. And now it's come off Blakey out of bounds for a throw-in. Another 450 stoppage coming up for the Brisbane Lions. 6 points is the Sydney Swans lead. 23 gone, second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
And they're doing this with Lachie Neale having just the 6 disposals, the Brownlow medalist, but the young gun and Levi Ashcroft coming into the team. They've got another bow added to their midfield. Darcy Fort wins it out of the ruck. Gets it to McKenna. Quick snap on goal is across the face. Another behind for Brisbane. They are 4-8-32. Sydney 6-1-37. 23 minutes gone in the second term. 5 points the lead to the Swans.
Speaking of big recruits, you may have heard on ABC Sport in that earlier game, Ray Chamberlain, part of our team now for the year, was on the boundary.
There you go.
The umpire did a great job, and I'm going to bring you his first ever interview with Patrick Dangerfield at half-time of this game after ABC News. So there you go. Recapping that earlier result, Geelong beat Freo by 78 points. He takes a big mark here on the outer side. Kicks out in space now for Pat Lear. We're going to come back here, actually, as there was a Brisbane free kick spotted by, speaking of umpires, Brendan Hosking. It's going to be with Cam Rayner. He's just forward of halfway. Swans by 5 points here. Rayner pops it into the hot spot now. Out to a 2-on-1. Grundy stands strong, and it's going to be another free kick here going the way of Grundy, who was impeded by Darcy Fort. He'll have it at full back for the Sydney Swans. 24 gone, second quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. The Sydney Swans by 5 points.
Melican gives it to Wicks, right back pocket. Has a target in Warner and finds him. 2 goals to his name, Corey Warner. He'll go long down the wing, looking for the run of Hayward. Did well to get 2 hands to it. Had a couple of lines around him. Well recovered, though, by Answorth. Papley, though, ripped it from him. Got it to Patton. Swans go inside 50. They need a settler here. Over the head of Campbell. There is the youngster in Hanley. Does he keep it in? No. Had a pretty good attempt at doing so, but we'll have a boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Swans, who lead by 5 points. 24 minutes gone in the second term. Down to Declan Byrne.
It's taken less than 6 quarters, but Dean Cox has come down to the bench from the coaching box. He's had a few words to the players down here, a long chat with ex-captain Dane Rampy. So he's down here leading from the bench.
3 goals to 2 in this second quarter. The Lions have had the better of things, it seems, scoring-wise, despite their depleted forward line. And now it looks as though Hanley has put down Berry, one of those defenders. Dunkley, in fact, it was getting up to his feet now. So a free kick here for Josh Dunkley.
You just can't give away. You just can't relieve the pressure valve like that. Once you've worked hard to get a stoppage inside 50, you can give away a silly free kick.
Especially as we approach half-time. Grundy! Big leap. Can't control the grab at the end. Missed Levi Ashcroft. Rayner's hand pass picked off by Patton. Socket forward now by the Lions. Blakey through his legs. He was clean bowled. There's Will Ashcroft out after it. Drops the footy in the Wicks tackle. Umpire lets them play, does he? Picked up by Rowbottom. And now Roberts was clobbered high. This time we'll have a whistle, as Rayner was the guilty party there. A free kick for the Sydney Swans, and Matt Roberts at left half back It's the home side who leads. 6-1-37 plays 4-8-32. 26 go on second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Some feeling in the grand final rematch now. Roberts goes short to the veteran in Rampy. A long ball from him up to half forward. Warner's underneath it with courage. Stood his ground in front of McInerney. Took the mark and gave McInerney a whack on the leg for a little bit of afters from the Brisbane ruckman. Warner with one scintillating goal in this quarter. His brother Corey has two. Plays on. Kicks smartly for a lead of Heaney. Reading it well though was Darcy Fort. Got a cross, got a hand in. Got it to Starcevic, and now to Rayner. Tumbling ball into attack. Archie's there. Well done by Blakey to get in front of him. Deep in defence. Blakey's hurt. This is a big concern for Sydney. Blakey is down. Hasn't moved. Play goes on through Melican. One of Sydney's biggest names could be out with concussion. Massive worry here at the SCG.
He's still down. Ball in dispute on the outer wing as Corey Warner receives a free kick.
I reckon he's just knocked the wind out of himself.
Warner kicks out in space for Isaac Heaney. Inside 50. Hanley gets back and takes the mark. 30 out. And a tough angle deep in the right forward pocket. Declan Byrne, down to you quickly.
Yeah, I reckon Ryan's got it. Looks winded. Both the doctors are out there. They're not checking the head, and he's just keeled over trying to get his breath back.
Didn't look good the way he went down, did it? But he's up on his feet now. The trainer's for company.
In saying that, he saved a certain goal because Archie was out at the back. And what it did was then Swans came off the back of that rebound and we've had a shot.
This is far from a certain goal, though, for the man who debuted last week, Tom Hanley, mid-season rookie of last year. Right foot set shot from the pocket for his first goal in AFL footy. Misses to the far side. It's the Swans by a kick. 6-2 plays 4-8. 28 go on second term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Daniel Garb.
Blakey staying on the ground, so that's good news. Clearly nothing to do with the head, even though when he hit the ground he didn't move at all. Just winded. Well spotted by a man who knows what it's all about. Former Norm Smith medalist in Ryan O'Keefe as Tom McCartan punches it over the boundary line. Forward of the wing for the Swans, who lead by 6 points. Down to Declan Byrne.
Yeah, the doctor came off and said winded, and Dean Cox has had about 8 or 10 conversations. He pulled Tom McCartan over, who is still on the field, to have a convo with him. So he's active down here, the new head coach.
Well, he's under pressure. I mean, we all know it's very early in his tenure, but the Swans have designs on playing in another grand final. They don't want to start zipping too. As Roberts works it forward, and that's a good grab down there by Jack Payne in front of Tom McCartan. So he's an excitable character, as everyone at Sydney tells you. He's probably showing that early on in his coaching tenure.
8 scoring shots to 12 so far. The Lions have had more of those. They trail by 6 points. On the members' wing, Archie, the hand pass through traffic. Fletcher out in space. It's marked by Oscar McInerney. He goes inside forward 50. Couple of players back there in the contest. Good spoil from behind there. Hamling did the work in defence, and now Florent off to Rampy. Clears beyond defensive 50. Grundy marks on the members' wing.
And now they can go. Grundy the handball to Warner. One more over the top to Campbell. Darts around a would-be tackler in Answorth, and on his left smartly hits up McCartan. He's got a man over the top who wants it now in Corey Warner. He'll go there, McCartan. Brisbane have done as well as they possibly could in this situation to hold Sydney out. And Corey Warner will work it forward to Lloyd, who will kick from 45 at a tight angle to the left, at left half forward. It looked like Chad Warner was away for a moment, but Brisbane got back in numbers.
They'd be happy. Sorry, mate. They'd be happy with that result, wouldn't they? Warner was out, but he just didn't have that obvious choice. Chose to go sideways and gave that Lions defence a chance to come and fill the gaps, which they're doing well. They're finding it hard to get that mark inside 50. To give one up, 40 metres out on the boundary line, you'd probably take that after the clear space that Chad Warner had.
They need one, Sydney. Brisbane have kicked the last 3 goals of this game. Lloyd from a tight angle. Kick it behind. So it is 6-3-39 the Swans. Brisbane 4-8-32. Saturday footy. ABC Sport. Half an hour gone in the second term of the grand final rematch.
Talking about Dean Cox on the boundary line as well, I guarantee you he's talking about contested possession. 62-83 now. That is an absolute smashing.
Now, Leicester went the kick out, but something's happened in back play here, and
Brisbane gave away a free kick.
It's going to be a free kick for the Swans inside 50, so that will be costly for the Lions potentially. Well, the ball's still back there with the umpire.
I think they're just trying to work out where they take the free kick from, whether it's a downfield where the kick is, so it'll be at the top of the square, or it's back where it was given.
Yeah, it's going to be back here a little further, but it's going to be very gettable here for Tom McCartan.
No, it's actually from where
now it's coming back to the square.
Because it's downfield, it's where the ball was.
There we go. And Tom McCartan trots in and thumps it into the second tier. An ill fall about the Brisbane Lions. Just as they seized momentum in that second quarter, they give away a very cheap free kick to the Sydney Swans, who push their lead back to 13 points. 7-3 plays 4-8. 31 gone, second quarter on ABC Sport. Your experts are Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
You just don't want to give away easy goals like that. Like, the game's too hard to be able to give these sort of silly free kicks away, but the Swans really needed that. They really needed to sort of just get a little bit of momentum back. So look, you can see now, I reckon the heat's playing a bit of a thing on the players, whether it's making poor decisions by giving away silly free kicks, a few drop marks we're seeing. So it's going to be interesting with the Lions maybe a bit short on the bench. This game gets longer if they're going to run out of petrol.
Just seeing the replay, there's not much in that, is there?
Nah.
A harsh one on the Lions. It's a warm Saturday in Sydney, late stages of the second term. Grundy with the tackle on McGluggage. Has made the last 4 All-Australian squads, McGluggage, and still doesn't have a blazer. Very hard done by in the eyes of many. Perhaps this will be the year. Heaney wins the clearance, gets it to Florent, darted around a couple and found McInerney. Middle of the SCG with composure, spots up Hanley through his hands. Another easy drop mark from the Swans. Did well though, the youngster, to recover, got it to Papley. And he ran over the boundary lines. A boundary throw in. Right half forward for the Swans, but that was the chance for young Tom Hanley to have another shot on goal late stages of the second term.
Where do you want it? It's perfectly placed right there.
Umpire tosses it back in. Grundy up in front of McInerney. It's come down here to Chad Warner. He can snap quickly. It'll bounce. In fact, Berry gets there and takes it on the last line. As the seconds tick down toward the major break. Jared Berry just pumps it long beyond defensive 50 here for the Brisbane Lions. Out to a 3-on-2. Blakey takes the mark out the back. Puts the Swans back inside 50 now. Chad Warner, it's bounced off his chest. Loose ball cleared there by the Brisbane Lions. It'll bounce down the outer wing. Is there still time here for the home side? Blakey again involved. Leaves it there for Milliken. Receives a hand pass as Blakey, but that will be all she wrote through the opening half. A game that's felt like grand final intensity at times. A bit of carnage as well, injury-wise. But the Swans lead by 13 points here, 7-3-45. To last year's premiers, the Brisbane Lions, 4-8-32. Goals so far for the home side to Corey Warner with 2, Braden Campbell also with a couple, Jake Lloyd, Chad Warner, Tom McCartan, the most recent of those, only a short time ago. Meanwhile, for the Brisbane Lions, a couple for Zach Bailey in that first half, singles to Calamachi and Darcy Ford. It was 15 points the Sydney Swans lead at quarter time, and as Garby said, they kicked 3 in a row in that second term of the Brisbane Lions to cut things back briefly to 7 points. It's a 13-point margin at the halftime break. Your experts on ABC Sport are Norm Smith medalist Ryan O'Keefe and former Lion and Giant Joel Patfull.
You could just see Brisbane were just playing that game in their forward half more often. I think the Swans started to make a few mistakes. We saw drop marks. And they just getting a little bit messy, and Brisbane were just hanging in there. Their first 3 goals were probably easy goals that you'd be just like in the Sydney coaching box going, we should not be giving those up. But what it did, kept them in the game, and then they started just crawling their way back and just getting it in and capitalising. So they definitely had the better that quarter, Brisbane. But to give away that last sort of easy goal, it sort of just relieved the pressure off a bit, and Sydney would go in there and say, okay, that wasn't our best quarter. We've got to start bringing some basic things back into the game.
Yeah, you're right. They've just kept them in the game, haven't they? They haven't been able to put them away. They probably should be 2 or 3 at least goals further ahead. The last goal was lucky for the Swans. It's a little bit embarrassing, really, that you can give a gimme goal for such a soft free kick, but lucky for the Swans. I'd just like to see, I think the Swans' intensity just dropped off a little bit there. It's like they're playing against the team who embarrassed them in the grand final last year. Let me see some feeling, see some emotion, start to hit a few bodies, do some damage. They're obviously on top, but let's put them in the ground and make up for what they let down last year.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. there should be steam coming out of this, to make a statement. I know it's, early on in the season, but make a statement. You were embarrassed last year. Come out, show some physicality. I think what we did see was Chad Warner put himself into a few stoppages, and it's sort of, you can see the damage he can do when he's in there. But there's still probably, for the Swans, there's still a lot of players there that we're not really getting much out of. Robot's done much. Hayward's been okay, and he's had to compete against probably an extra defender against him with Harris zoning off. But guys like Papley, these senior players, we're not really seeing much out of them.
Sorry, you go, mate.
The ball use in the back 50 for both sides was left wanting in that second term, wasn't it? The errors, which proved pretty costly at times.
Well, it was. The Lions at times bombed out of their defensive 50, and the Swans had set up well to turn it over and have repeat entries inside 50. So skill level all round's been a little bit low throughout the game. So that's both key points that they'll be looking at. And then, obviously, on the flip side, inside 50, hitting targets. There's only been a couple of marks each side where they've been able to actually lower the eyes and hit the target inside 50.
On our way to ABC News, a couple of your texts, 0437 774 774. I reckon there'll be a few of these on Saturdays throughout the early part of the year. Rod from Newport, why can't we watch an AFL game on free-to-air on Saturday evening? Why? And he just says money. I think you've answered your own question there, Rob. And yes, Pay TV has the games exclusively on the Saturdays for now. And, of course, the ABC Listen app is not going anywhere. It's all live, all free on your usual ABC platforms on analogue radio, digital radio, or indeed the ABC Listen app, including both games later on. The Bulldogs in North Melbourne at Docklands, Collingwood versus Port Adelaide at the MCG on either the AFL or AFL Extra button on the ABC Listen app. Steve on the Gold Coast makes a good point about the Brisbane Lions fitness. We spoke about their sort of slow start to the game and points out, of course, they didn't have access to their main... Well, they couldn't train outside, I think, because in the aftermath of the cyclone, there were a few issues there with having access to their facility. So they had a restricted training run sort of throughout, I suppose, early this week. And then they're playing a team that has already played a game and have some match fitness in the Sydney Swans. So I suppose that's maybe makes some excuse for their slow first half, but they're only 13 points behind as it currently stands. 0437 774 774. Keep your texts coming. Earlier in Geelong, the Cats beat the Dockers by 78 points. We'll catch up with our new boundary rider, Ray Chamberlain, who spoke to Patrick Dangerfield very shortly. But right now, as we pause for half-time at the SCG, it's time for ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Eliza Getzi. Rallies have been held across the country today calling for more decisive action to address gendered violence. Chelsea Hetherington has the details.
The She Matters marches have taken place in 14 cities and towns covering every state and territory, honouring the more than 100 Australian women who have been killed in gendered violence incidents since the start of last year. The rallies were organised by Australian Femicide Watch and the Red Heart Campaign, who are advocating for better funding and legal challenges from state and federal governments to put a stop to male abuse and harassment of women. Organiser Sherelle Moody says too many women are falling through the cracks.
We need to make sure that we're framing all of our support services around all women at risk.
Demonstrators hope it will put pressure on all political parties ahead of the upcoming federal election.
And if you're in an abusive situation or know someone who is, call 1-800-RESPECT. That's 1-800-737-732. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of people are expected to march through the Serbian capital, Belgrade, denouncing government corruption and demanding accountability after the collapse of a recently renovated railway station. 15 people died, as the BBC's Guy Delorny reports.
Pump it up is the chant on the streets of Belgrade. It's pressure on the government that they want to increase, and scenes like this are certainly making life uncomfortable for President Aleksandar Vučić and his Progressive Party. The noise was a welcome for students from around Serbia who've been making their way to the capital, and they're joining a protest that'll take over large parts of the city for most of Saturday. They're demanding full transparency and accountability for November's disaster at Novi Sad railway station. Mr. Vučić says they'll never be satisfied and warns that opposition parties are plotting violence.
Staying overseas, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the United States is expelling the South African ambassador, accusing him of anti-Americanism and hating Donald Trump. In a social media post, Mr. Rubio says the ambassador, Ebrahim Rasool, is no longer welcome in the US. It comes after Mr. Rubio snubbed the G20 meeting in Johannesburg last month. Back home, the South Australian Country Fire Service is warning residents to take shelter immediately from a fire burning in the state's lower southeast. The uncontrolled scrub fire is burning at Fox, about 40 kilometres south of Lucindale. The CFS says firefighters are unable to prevent the fire from spreading and have directed residents to take shelter in a solid building. The fire's burning in an easterly direction, but conditions are continually changing. Residents are urged to check the CFS website and stay tuned in to ABC local radio. And a 24-year-old man has died after an alleged machete attack in Melbourne's outer southeast last night, just days after Victoria announced a proposed ban on the weapon. Police allege a group of 10 men used multiple edged weapons in the targeted stabbing at a Lyndhurst car park. The proposed law, part of a crackdown on violent knife crimes, would be the first of its kind in Australia if passed by September 1st. Detective Inspector Adam Tilley says it will help.
We're grateful that there's new legislation that's looking at being progressed in relation to machetes and potentially becoming prohibited weapons. So we welcome any new legislation that will make the community a safer place.
Australia's peak tennis body says Melbourne could host the tennis events for the 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games unless Brisbane's venues get an upgrade. Tennis Australia says Queensland Tennis Centre currently doesn't have the necessary standards to host matches for Olympic Games. It's lobbying for a $113 million upgrade to the Queensland Tennis Centre at Tennyson in Brisbane to increase seating, add additional courts and improve player facilities. Tennis Queensland CEO Cameron Pearson says keeping events in Brisbane is the priority.
Tennis Australia has worked hand in glove with Tennis Queensland on it's a joint submission. They're clearly supportive and it would be a travesty if they weren't held in Brisbane. That said, if we can't get the funding and the required number of courts and seating here at the Queensland Tennis Centre, then we'll have to look elsewhere.
And teen sprint star Gout Gout has returned to the racetrack for the first time since breaking the Australian 200-metre men's record. The 17-year-old clocked 10.38 seconds in the 100 metres under 20 final at the Queensland Athletics Championships. The Year 12 student, who will also compete in the 200 tomorrow, says he's got a busy year ahead.
I will be hoping to qualify for World Championships in Tokyo and just getting through the motions. I'll be competing in Europe for a little bit and just obviously getting through school and stuff like that.
This is ABC News.
The footy might stop with the final siren, but with ABC AFL, the conversation keeps rolling. Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast with Premiership coach Paul Roos alongside Corbin Middlemass, Ben Cameron and Poppy Penny.
From walking on thin ice to dancing on the mountaintop.
It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
That's why there for Answorth. Here, Bates Campbell going to be careful. He's run down. Second time in 5 minutes. Braden Campbell affects the tackle. This time close to the goal. Opportunity here for the Sydney Swans. Braden Campbell was the Swan sub in last year's Premiership decider. He's going to kick it a tight angle here from 25 out. He just nurses it through. His second goal of the afternoon. And the Swans extend their lead out to 22 points.
Rampy goes back to Blakey, who dropped the mark. That's trouble for the Swans. Archie picks it up. It's a vacant goal square for Zach Bailey to kick at and convert. Well, an elementary mistake from Nick Blakey. He was the deepest man in defence and drops, as you'd call it in the slips, an absolute soda.
Warner bursts by here. Chat to the Swans. Closes to 50. Goes himself and all the way. A goal inside 6 seconds for Chad Warner. He enters the game in a big way after a slow first quarter. Out to a 2-on-2. Out the back is Bailey. Gathers, kicks, and does snap truly. His second goal of the afternoon. Now, Leicester went the kick out, but something's happened in back play here. And
Brisbane gave away
free. Be a free kick for the Swans inside 50. So that will be costly for Lions potentially. And Tom McCartan trots in and thumps it into the second tier. An ill fall about the Brisbane Lions just as they seize momentum in that second quarter.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at a warm and sunny Sydney cricket ground. Great to have your company. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. The Swans lead the Brisbane Lions in the grand final rematch by 13 points. It's 7:3:45 plays 4:8:32. Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb in commentary. Your experts are Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull. Declan Byrne on the boundary. Your texts are always welcome. 0437 774 774. A few things to update you on in just a moment, but to the game earlier at Vineyard Park in Geelong, where the Cats beat the Dockers 23-9, 147 to 10-9, 69. That was a crazy game because the Cats led by 60 points just prior to half-time. Freo got within 21 points at three-quarter time thanks to 4 goals in 6 minutes from Murphy Reid on debut. Just a staggering start in footy for him to almost bring his side back into the game, really, before the Cats kicked 10 more in that last quarter and powered away to win by 78 points. Now, this is a world exclusive because our new boundary rider, Ray Chamberlain, the retired umpire, is with us on Saturday afternoons on ABC Sport, and his first guest post-game was Patrick Dangerfield.
Right, we're very fortunate enough to be down here in the Geelong rooms, the winning rooms, with none other than Patrick Dangerfield. Pat, how did that feel?
I don't know. I'm a bit speechless, to be honest, Ray. I feel like this is the most unusual post-game interview I've ever had, given our previous interactions. But, mate, it was good. It was. It feels like it's been a long pre-season, and then with the postponement of obviously opening round, it just felt like it was, ever in a day. But we were ready, and I felt like we played like that today.
I really loved actually watching you, particularly in the first half. Not a heap of midfield minutes, but a slightly different role.
Yeah, well, I'm a month off 35, mate, so it's coming around quick, and it's a long season, so it'll be sort of horses for courses a bit, and particularly early on, given my history over the last few years, got to play the first few weeks, smartly. I'm not sure that's a word, but it makes sense in terms of the last few years for me. So get into that rhythm over the first month, and if you get past that hurdle, then your body is sort of acclimatised to the season. So that's sort of what it's about early for me.
No, we loved it, particularly the first goal. You shunted the fly to the ball, bring it to ground, and then away we go and we hit the scoreboard. You said you're 35 years of age. Do you realise that a colleague out there, Simon Meredith, turned 50 on Tuesday?
Well, he and I are probably the oldest two out there, and we looked at, to be honest, compared to some of the young kids running around. But look, I still love the game, and clearly Simo does as well. And you've got to enjoy it for as long as it lasts, because when it's over, it's over. And I feel like we've had a great build up, and we feel like we've got the makings of what we need to be successful. And now it's about turning those wins early. You forget them by the end of the season. But you don't forget your ladder position. So it was a nice start.
Speaking of the collective that is the Geelong Footy Club, you had a guy debut, hasn't played in over a year. The last time I saw him in person, he was tearing up Canggu Beach, and I just want to be clear, it was in a training session. Bailey Smith, it would have been wonderful to run out there with him today.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy for him. He played a mighty game. That was no surprises, because he's been like a cat on a hot tin roof, and he's missed so much footy. So he absolutely loves footy, so to have that taken away, you can feel how much it's meant to him, and really pleased the way that he played and contributed, and I thought he was mighty today.
The crowd certainly loved it when he made his way off. Last question, Pat, and then I'll let you go. Thanks so much for your time. But did you send Cameron Ling a best of luck message for his cricket final today?
No, is he playing for St Joseph's? Who's he playing for?
He'll be filthy that you're unaware. It's a big day for him, so I'll let you get a message out to him and make sure that you don't upset the mayor.
Cameron, good luck. You aren't the mayor anymore, though, mate.
Thanks, Paddy. Congrats.
The Geelong skipper there with our own Ray Chamberlain on ABC Sport on his debut Saturday afternoon appearance, and that was after Geelong's earlier win by 78 points over Fremantle. Bailey Smith, you mentioned him there, in his first game as a Cat, 32 disposals, 1 goal, 5 tackles, 7 clearances, 6 inside 50s and 12 score involvements. He was our best on, the ABC Player of the Year. 2 votes for Sam de Koning and 1 to Isaac Humphries. Later on, Bulldogs v North Melbourne at Docklands. Most of you will hear that on Analog Radio wherever you are. Otherwise, through South Australia, Western Australia and the NT, you'll get Collingwood versus Port Adelaide at the MCG. A few things going on around the place. I mentioned the F1, so the qualifying at Albert Park today. It finished up with an all-McLaren front row for tomorrow, so Lando Norris just pipped the hometown man, Oscar Piastri, for the fastest lap in qualifying. And Max Verstappen is rounding up that top 3 in qualifying. Jack Doohan for Alpine, of course, the Aussie there as well. Will start 14th on the grid. There's also some news out of last night's game for Hawthorn's win over Essendon. Jack Scrimshaw has copped a 3-week suspension from the MRO for striking Jordan Ridley. That's careless conduct, severe impact and high contact there. Just taking it back to footy there with the teams out here at the SCG back underway very shortly. In the National Rugby League competition in Wollongong, it was a 1-point game. South Sydney beat St George Illawarra 25-24. And in the other game getting underway in Townsville, Cronulla 4 leads the Cowboys 0. Now, it's also, speaking of important cricket finals, the Sheffield Shield race to the final, of course, which will be held by South Australia at Karen Rolton Oval in next week or thereabouts. 3 games underway today. South Australia batting first against Queensland, 3 for 306 late on day one there. Victoria, who were sent in by Western Australia, are currently Victoria at the WACA ground. They're currently 3 for 96, and that's midway through day one. And also in the game between Tasmania and New South Wales, Tasmania, the home side, 3 for 129. So all those sides, bar Tassie, can make it to the Shield final and face South Australia next week.
And we should mention Minwoo Lee as well.
Yes.
Because the West Australian has a share of the lead halfway through the prestigious Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass, which will be something to watch with interest over the next 2 days.
Absolutely. And Gout, I saw this. He ran a 10.36 in the 100 of the Queensland Athletics Championships. He ran a 10.35 in the semis. Our ABC Sport friend Jeff White was there, I think. I saw Whitey tweeting about that. But Gout, of course, who's taken the athletics world by storm, doing great things at the Queensland Athletics Championships as well. So a very diverse around the grounds there with a few sports on offer across this Saturday afternoon. Here at the SCG, the Swans by 13 points over the Brisbane Lions. Your ABC Sport experts, the Norm Smith medalist Ryan O'Keefe and former Lion and Giant Joel Patfull. And it's amazing to think, Ryan, that the Lions are still in this game and only trailed by 13 points. They got within 7 points in that second term, given how dominant it seems the Sydney Swans have been, and the fact that the Lions are without Charlie Cameron, who was a late withdrawal today, and Kai Loman, who was subbed out in the first term with an ankle injury. So they're still well in this game, aren't they, the Brisbane Lions?
Yeah, definitely. And they've had plenty of scoring shots, so they're thereabouts. I just think with the Swans, with their domination, they just haven't capitalised on their forward entries. And I think if they can clean that up, take a few more marks inside 50, I think they'll be able to kick away and kick a winning score. But I think it's going to be the team that has less turnovers and starts to get their ball a little bit cleaner. I think that's going to be the way this game will pan out.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
You finish off. No, all good.
So I was just going to say that Lions defence has been the one that's held them in there. That's the premiership defence, holding strong, keeping those Swans out.
The second half we go. Daniel Garvin, ABC Sport.
Swans by 13 points. We're away in the third term. Heaney in the middle of the ground with a handball back to Wicks. And now wider to James Jordan. The Swans work it to left half forward. It bounces once out in front of Amadi with Harris Andrews working him closely towards that contest. We'll have a boundary throw in. 65 out from the Swans goal. They led by 15 points at quarter time, the home side. 13 points the margin at half time. Brisbane got it back to a 5-point margin at one stage. Here's Rowbottom. It's a handball out to Jordan. He sent it back into traffic with Grundy. Well done by Rowbottom to extract it with just the one hand and get it to Heaney. The umpire's seen something in there though. And it's a free kick going the way of Rowbottom. Heaney had it, but didn't really have much space to work. So no advantage paid. Rowbottom will take the free kick and send the Swans deep into attack.
No change to our half-time score. A little beyond his range here. James Rowbottom, he goes inside forward 50. Up in front of Marty. Deep in the pocket. Clunks the overhead grab, and he's no more than 20 metres out.
He needs to start doing that, Amadi. He needs to a couple of his efforts in the first half, he was running underneath the ball. He looked like his timing, or he was a bit worried about some physical contact. He had a clean run out because he's a beautiful athlete. And once he puts the jukes up as high as he can, he's hard to spoil. And he needs to do that to keep Harris Andrews engaged. Otherwise, Harris Andrews will zone off and be third man in and spoil every day of the week.
Comes in on the 45-degree angle here, Joel Amadi. Love to open his account here this afternoon. He's put it right across the face. just sneaks through for a minor score. 7-4-46 the Swans. The Brisbane Lions are 4-8-32. 2 minutes gone, third term. Saturday afternoon for the ABC Sport.
Dangerous kick from Zorko right down the corridor. McGluggage felt some contact high. Free kick paid. They play on quickly, the Lions. Send it wide to Starcevic on the logo. You want to go deep into attack. Well done by Hanley, though, the youngster, with another 1%er. Excellent smother. Read that well. Starcevic wins it back, though. Goes to McKenna. High ball into attack. Over the head of Hamling. Hipwood chases it. Taps it forward to Bailey. Under pressure from Rowbottom. Good tackle from Rowbottom. Deep in defence. Wraps Bailey up. And we'll have a ball up. It was daring out of defensive 50 from Brisbane.
Talk about acts and setting the standard of the team. It's young Hanley. He's a young player. Didn't play in the grand final last year, but that's what you want to see.
Ball in the air. Tapped away here by Grundy. Ripped off the footy down there was Lloyd. Sharked by Bailey. Tumbles it towards goal and through. Up against the boundary line. Zach Bailey dribbles it through on the impossible angle, or so it seemed. Kicks his third of the afternoon. The Lions got it back to 8 points. It's the Swans 7-4-46. Brisbane 5-8-38. 3 gone, third term. Saturday footy, ABC Sport. Joel Patfull, Ryan O'Keefe.
What would be pulling my hair out if I was Dean Cox is the easy goals Brisbane are getting. They can get it forward. They get in there and they're scoring. And where go back, Amati takes a mark. As a key forward or as a forward, your job is to kick the goals, and you don't do that, and then Brisbane just go back, kick an easy goal. Just all that hard work, all that dominance play is just to nothing.
Well, it's what good teams do, don't they? They find ways to score when it's not going well for them. They haven't found traditional ways forward. They haven't kicked goals from marks. They've found ways from stoppage, ground level, turnover, and Zach Bailey, you can't give him time and space inside 50 once again.
This is a reminder of his 2023 grand final against Collingwood when he kicked those amazing goals in the first half. Brisbane lost on that day, made amends a year later, of course, against the Swans. But Zach Bailey having a day out with 3 goals. That was a beauty. Swans under pressure. They do well, though, through Grundy to work it out wide to Heaney. Jordan runs off him. Swans by 8 points. Early stages of the third term. Composure from Heaney. Just assessed his options and found the youngster in Hanley, who's been so impressive. Goes long from 52. Doesn't have the distance. Amati will fly it through his hands. It'll sit up nicely for Florent. Goes on the snap across the face. Wasn't a bad effort. And in the end, there's no score. And it's marked in the back pocket by Zorko. That's a risky kick. It'll bounce out in front of Bailey and over for a throw-in. 60 out from Sydney's goal. They lead by 8 points, the Swans. Zach Bailey, with 3 majors for Brisbane, has got them back into it.
Again, that forward entry from Sydney, just these high balls. Chad Warner was on. There's pockets of space and free options if they lower their eyes.
Well, this is the former champion Swan, Ryan O'Keefe on ABC Sport. Haywood wrapped up there by Wilmot. Loose footy Rowbottom. Hand pass away. Back to Jordan. Lloyd, and now a chain here ends up with Wicks. Fires it back to Hanley. He's 65 from goal. Puts it on his boot. High inside forward 50 again. Reaching from the back. Down there was Leicester. Socket away by Florent. Just misses. Improvisational from Ollie Florent. Looking for his 50th career goal. But it's left wanting here. It's the Swans by 9 points on ABC Sport.
That was just marked inside the field of play by Jared Berry. A number of Swans fans in that pocket, the left back pocket for Brisbane, thought it was out of bounds on the full. And now his kick is smothered by Warner. The ball in dispute just outside the attacking goal square for the Swans. They get it back to Hanley. It's a free kick to Brisbane. It's a throw against Papley, I think. It'll go the way of Wilmot. Isn't this youngster Tom Hanley been impressive across half forward for Sydney? As Andrews looks to clear that area. Cutting across was Rampik. He caught a Brisbane Lions player high. We'll wait and see who that is in a moment as they work it forward to Eric Hipwood. That player still to get to his feet.
Dunkley getting up slowly. McKenna sharks it here in the pocket now for the Brisbane Lions. He snaps and finds McInerney, who takes the chest mark. Deep at full forward. Opportunity here again for the Lions to cut the margin back to just 3 points. Yeah, Dunkley was that man in back play, but he's up and a little proppy now. Declan Byrne down to you very quickly.
He's got a cut above his right ear, so he might come off to get that treated.
Meanwhile, the Big O, one of a couple of players not involved in that grand final last year, of course. Dislocated his shoulder in the prelim. and his 150th game in that final series earlier on. Thumps through this ball now. Kicks his first of the afternoon, Oscar McInerney and the Brisbane Lions. It's back to a half a goal margin. The Swans lead by 3. 7-5-47 plays 6-8-44. 7 gone third term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
If you're a budding small forward, just watch the Brisbane Lions small forward, how they... So the difference between the two teams at the moment, the ball's not going clean in their forward 50, which is okay. But what the Brisbane Smalls are, they're getting to the ground. They're getting to the crumb. They're getting their hands on it. Where down the other end, when there's a contest and the Brisbane defenders are bringing it to ground, the Swan small forwards aren't there, causing some havoc and putting pressure on. That's the difference here. So Brisbane small forwards just get to the foot of the ball so well and create scoring opportunities.
7-5-47 Sydney, Brisbane 6-8-44. The Premiers slowly but surely have worked their way right back into this game after the Swans led by as much as 24 at one stage. It's now just 3. McInerney kicked the last goal, tapped it forward to Will Ashcroft, who was held without it. The Swans getting a bit panicky now. McInerney caught the Norm Smith medalist. He'll play on quickly with a handball out to McCluggage. He's in space. That's dangerous for Sydney. McCluggage from 52. Across the face, Rampy punches it through. Another score for the Lions. Sydney's lead back to 2 points.
It's their lowest lead since they first hit the front, the Sydney Swans, in the first 10 minutes of the opening term. We'll kick out here through Roberts. Buys some space and drives it long beyond defensive 50. Hailed up in front of Andrews. Ball in dispute. Down there is Darcy Ford. Turns it half forward. Puts the Lions back inside forward 50. Hipwood leads across and marks. Deep in the left forward pocket. No more than 25 out.
It was a good kick to space there. Let Hipwood work into the space. It took the mark out in front. But this is when it really tests your defence and everything you put in place in the preseason. I know the Swans played last week, but there's issues with their zone, their man-to-man. This is where they really need to lock in now. The next 5 minutes is going to be crucial.
Not the right side for a left footer here, Eric Hipwood. Will open up the angle, I reckon, with a right foot snap. He does just that. It's on target. It curls around the post beautifully. Brisbane back in front for the first time since their very first score of the game. Lions by 4 points. The reigning premiers 7-9-51. The Swans are 7-5-47. 10 gone third quarter. ABC Sport, your experts are Joel Patfull and Ryan O'Keefe.
He might be a better goal kick on his right foot than his left foot. You can just see that. You spoke about in the first half, Joel, about Brisbane's contested possession. They're just getting their hands on the ball, and now they've got over that sort of first game jitters and stuff. They're starting to be clean. They're looking dangerous when they go forward. They're taking their marks. The forwards are getting, their small forwards are getting there and crumbing. So it's a dangerous sign for Sydney unless they start getting into it, getting their hands on the ball.
They do start to look dangerous inside their forward 50, but it's a difference in that kick. It was a weighted kick to the pocket into space. It wasn't a long bomb on top of their forwards. Gave them a chance to run into it and take the grab.
Brisbane had the lead by 4 points for the first time in this game. And all but the two-time Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale with only 6 disposals to his name. Sydney need to get something going. Grundy to Warner, who soccers it off the ground. Good connection inside 50. Hayward just tapped it in front of himself. Picked up by Hanley, the second gamer. Well done, youngster. His first goal in AFL footy on the snap. And he has deserved every single bit of that.
Spot on, Garbs. Spot on. Absolutely deserves that.
The way he has worked with his tackling and his chasing and his smothering throughout this game. A goal is certainly something that young Tom Hanley in just his second game of AFL football should have next to his name. Excellent finish, and the Swans have the lead back by 2 points.
Well, he's the one. He's the one that's providing the energy, the intensity. He's setting the standard for everyone else right now in the field. So he's willing to have a crack. He needs a few more to come along with him.
Last year's mid-season rookie debuted against the Hawks last week. Tom Hanley. Declan Bernier knew on the boundary.
Dean Cox started up in the box. He's walked down, shaking his head. He's now back down 10 minutes into the third quarter, having more long chats. So I think we'll see him doing some getting his steps up this season.
He's come and gone a couple of times, hasn't he, across this game? The new Swans coach. Out the middle here goes McInerney for the Brisbane Lions. Inside 50 with that big boot that Rampy intercepts. The veteran offender was captaining in Callum Mills' absence. Short ball to Patton. At right half back here for the Swans. They lead by just 2 points. This game running a bit more as far as a competitive spectacle than last year's grand final at least. Hamling off to Patton under pressure there from Hipwood. Gets the hand pass away. Back to Dane Rampy on his preferred left side. Toward the outer wing where up goes Hanley. It's one away here by Fletcher and now Zorko for the Lions. They combine. Archie will mark it here. There's something paid downfield. It will be a Brisbane Lions free kick as Archie goes short again this time to find Levi Ashcroft on the outer side here at the SCG. Pops it inside forward 50. Roberts, as that ball just dipped low. The Swans intercept 40 from defensive goal.
Roberts goes down the corridor to centre half back. Finds Campbell. He's got a beautiful left boot. Puts it out in front of Papley. It bounces nicely for him. Collects it next to Zorko. Goes back to Hanley. Into the pocket. He kicks to a one-on-one. He's overcooked that. Perhaps a bit of adrenaline running through the youngster after his first goal in AFL footy. Sent it a bit too far over Tom McCartan's head. Brisbane will take the free kick and Andrews is marked next to his defensive goal square.
He didn't really have too many options too because Harris Andrews zoned back really quickly, so he had to sort of try and squeeze in that pocket.
Andrews stumps it long beyond defensive 50. Melican intercepts there for the Swans at left half forward. They lead by just 2 points the home side. Melican goes inside 50. This time it's turned over again. Wilmot marks for the Brisbane Lions. Back across defensive goal for Leicester. One of 11 players played every game last year for the Lions, including the grand final. Morris was too deep for him. McKenna is out there. Gets it away awkwardly. Archie is out in space. Wicks gives chase on him and runs him down. Out of bounds for a throw-in. That was an intense tackle and chase from Sam Wicks on Callum Archie. Repeating, by the way, if you missed it at the half-time, Jack Scrimshaw has copped a 3-week ban from the MRO for striking Jordan Ridley last night. Careless conduct, severe impact and high contact. Swans by 2 points here, 14 gone, third term.
Saturday footy, ABC Sport, the grand final rematch set up for an absolute cracker. A lot of footy to be played. Sydney's lead just 2 points. Strong tackle by Heaney on Bailey in the middle of the ground. The number 33 with 3 goals to his name this afternoon. Ball up. Amadi takes it out of the ruck, throws it on the boot. It doesn't go far. Under pressure is Leicester. Corey Warner, who kicked 2 goals early for the Swans, hasn't done too much since with a nice tackle on the Brisbane veteran. Ball thrown up next to the logo. Darcy Fort slaps it forward. McInerney was held without it. He'll get the free kick. Advantage paid to Florent. He'll kick to half forward. Bounces out in front with Tom McCartan with Jack Payne next to him. McCartan lets it bounce over the boundary line. So 15 minutes gone in the third term. Sydney are 8-5-53. Brisbane have worked back from a 24-point deficit to 7-9-51, trailing by just 2. Here's Brett Spriggs, Saturday footy, ABC Sport.
Back in it comes. One down here, only as far as Will Ashcroft for the Lions. And it's going to be a throw and a Swans free kick. Good pressure it was from Rowbottom. 60 from goal here for Sydney. Pops into the pocket of Marty, leads up. Getting up in front though, Leicester provides some pressure and Neil ushers it out of bounds for a throw-in. Deep in attack at the round weekend for the Sydney Swans. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Tom Hanley's just come off and he's got hugs from Rampy, Heaney, Grundy and a high five from Cox, so they are appreciating the youngsters' efforts.
Phil from Victoria, thank you for your text. 0437 774 774. Says he's enjoying the call. Back in it comes. Fought out of the ruck. Beat Justin McInerney as now it's a loose footy pounced on by Bailey, brought to ground by Florent. The umpire says give it to me. Another Phil from wherever he says Razor Ray, a helpful addition to so much of uninformed and biased comments we hear. Yeah, we agree. I didn't know how the interview would go with 2 shy personalities like Hedgefield and Chamberlain. Here they go. Chad Warner off to Justin McInerney. It's going to be a free kick here going back to Brisbane Lions way. The Dunkley tackle rewarded. It was nice to hear from Razor Ray Chamberlain, our boundary rider in the Saturday afternoon fixture earlier. Swans by 2 points here. Dunkley kicks from left half back.
Dunkley's 7th tackle of the game. Big flyer from Rayner. Didn't get near the football though, and that will be a free kick against him for an unrealistic attempt. So 7 tackles for Dunkley. He had 11 in the grand final win. Doing his best in the middle for Brisbane. That's Wicks's kick over the head of Warner. Picked up by Leicester. He switches it to Zorko. He just slapped it back for Starcevic. Missed his target. Now he's under pressure, Starcevic. He was hit afterwards by Braden Campbell. Advantage paid to the Lions. They find Jared Berry in the middle of the ground. That's a dangerous kick to Leicester. McInerney was closing on him. That might be 50. No, the ball just spilled free out of Leicester's hand. It wasn't knocked out by McInerney. Leicester will switch it, looking for Dunkley. They'll take another mark in front of Warner. The Lions controlling the football now, but trailing by 2 points. 17 minutes gone in the third term.
His head taped up now, Josh Dunkley, courtesy of that earlier head knock. And that gash a short time ago. He kicks to find Berry, 65 from goal. Wheels around now, pops it closer to home, and it's intercepted down there by Melican.
He's been solid down there, Melican. He's been really, really good. As I said, taking that sort of general role as their key defender.
24 games last year. His previous best in a year was 17 in a season. He's kicked to the members' side now. Chad Warner hits the deck in the contest. Brought away by Andrews, and now Payne for the Brisbane Lions. Pops it back towards half forward. Levi Ashcroft out after it. Wicks hand pass intercepted by Dunkley. Hipwood provides it back to Josh Dunkley. A little too hot. And it goes out of bounds for a throw-in at left half forward for the Brisbane Lions. It's the Swans who lead by 2 points. 8-5-53, plays 7-9-51. 18 gone third term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
I'm really liking Sam Wicks down back. He's been providing a lot of energy and been a really good addition down there.
Boundary throwing just outside attacking 50 for Brisbane. Berry has it. Gets it to Jasper Fletcher. High ball into attack. Big chance here for the Lions. Well done, Melican again to punch it away. Lloyd with the quick clearing kick. Bouncing ball in the middle of the SCG. Payne did well to gather it cleanly, but McCartan was right with him. Put a strong tackle on. Corey Warner knocks it out in front of himself with composure. Wilmot was able to win it back. And now work it forward. A chance for the Lions on the counter-attack. Levi Ashcroft to Wilmot. Had his kick well smothered, though, by Campbell. Excellent work by the young Swan. They needed to do that. Warner has it now on the wing. Got it to Hayward. Warner wants it back. Hayward instead bypasses him to McInerney. He had quick hands to get it to Warner, though. 52 out, he'll shoot on goal. And kick it out of bounds on the full. A bit scrappy that from Sydney, from both sides, in fact. It's a hot day here at the SCG. Maybe it's taking its toll. Sydney lead by 2 points.
And Jared Berry was down in back play for a short time as well. Up to his feet now. So there's the implied intensity of this game. Last year's grand final combatants. Hasn't been a fantastic game, really, as far as the overall skill level and everything else, but the Lions go coast to coast quickly here. McKenna's kick slews off the outside of his boot and bounces out of bounds for a throw-in at right half forward. Right on cue, Joel Paffel.
Well, it doesn't feel like we're watching the two best teams from last year at the moment, does it? Some of those skill errors, just basic skills, just hand to foot, unforgivable, really. That's an uncontested kick from Conor McGregor to kick that out of bounds there.
Swans by 2 points as we approach time on here in the third quarter. Back in it comes, tapped down by Darcy Ford. Heaney taken without the football by Will Ashcroft. Here's Corey Warner who bursts away for the Swans. Too quick for Jasper Fletcher. Kicks to half forward. That was off the contest there as McCartan was beaten. Andrews can rebound the football. Leicester involved as well. Ricochets back to Roberts, who's in a three-man wall of Brisbane players. Footy comes loose. There's Levi Ashcroft. His kick to half forward. Going up high. Dane Rampy comes down heavily. Archie grabs the football. Shares it with Jared Berry. On here to Will Ashcroft, who can close from 40 and miss to the left-hand side. It's a one-point ball game here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The Swans 53 plays the Lions 52. 20 gone third term. ABC Sport, Dan Garb.
This reminds me a bit of like an A-grade amateurs game at the moment. Like the skill level's not quite there, but the intensity and the impact on the contest is top-notch. A shot from Zorko from outside 50 is through. The veteran, something out of nothing. They won it back at half forward. And Dane Zorko in game number 278. Season number 14 with a long-range bomb to put Brisbane ahead by 5 points.
You won't see out there A-grade ammo, is that kick?
No, that's a little bit different.
I just think, like, Zorko's kick, he just made it simple. I'm just going to go back on and kick through it. A lot of the play, when the game's like this and early on this season, you just got to do the simple things, take the simple options. I think a few players are just trying to do too much with the ball and trying to hit these impossible targets. just do the basics and do them really, really well. There's been too many turnovers, but Zorko's example there, he didn't think too much. He goes, I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to go slot. And it's beautiful. It just shows what a bit of experience can do.
He has been one as well that's looked for that target through the middle of the ground this quarter. So they're trying to get the ball in his hands because he is clean and he's one that is executing quite well today.
Joel Patfull and Ryan O'Keefe are experts on ABC Sport. The leaders swung 3 times in this third term so far alone. And it's a restart back in the middle now. A free kick will go the way of Lockie Neal from that centre bounce. In fact, it's going to go the way of Ruckman McInerney, which makes sense. High kick inside 50 here. Paddington end of the SCG. Let the spoil away. Patton at the drop though. Bailey who can close with a snap on the run, and he wobbles it through. 4 goals for Zach Bailey. And that's the biggest Brisbane lead so far. 11 points the way the the reigning premiers. 9-10-64 plays 8-5-53. We've played now 23 minutes in this third term on ABC Sport. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
And the debutant Riley Bice has made his way on the left footer, is running onto the SCG now in a famous Swans number. He's taken Luke Parker's old number 26. And just looking to see, I think it might be Ben Patton who has been subbed out for the Swans. Tactical sub, Patton out, Bice in.
Well, he might get a job on Zach Bailey. He's just a class player, isn't he? You give him any time and space, he's got electric speed and he just knows how to find a goal. Like, look, they've got to put some time in him. Like, Wicks has been really good, and if Wicks is his direct opponent, which he's lining up at the moment, maybe you need a bit more of a lockdown defender on him.
Brisbane lead by 11 points, 23 minutes gone in the third term. Showing all of their premiership class at the moment. Handball over the top, looking for Chad Warner, who's a little bit frustrated at the moment. Picked up nicely though by Campbell. To Grundy, over the top to Hanley, the youngster. They work it into the pocket for Hayward. Pops it over the top though. It sits up beautifully for Jared Berry just to punch it through. It was a low percentage effort there from Hayward. Not quite sure what he was thinking. Halfway between a pass and a shot perhaps. Through for a rush behind. Brisbane's lead is 10 points. We've gone 23.5 Saturday footy on ABC Sport in the third quarter.
They're just making it difficult for themselves. They're just overusing it.
Well, Wilmot's kick out goes to over the top of Harris Andrews, and it rolls out of bounds for a throw-in.
Just been watching Chad Warner. It's a lot of hands on hips, a lot of shaking of the head. He's only had 9 disposals, spent a lot of time in forward 50. He looks really frustrated out there at the moment.
Well, it's a little bit frustrating for him at the moment. They're just not taking the easy option. They're just trying to do too much, and it's just not working for them.
Back in it comes. First hands to it. Starcevich for the Lions. Shares it with Berry. Points his kick from right half back, but Milliken takes the intercept mark on his chest on the eastern wing of the SCG. Short kick to find James Jordan. It's the most they've trailed by in this game so far, the Sydney Swans.
There's no movement. You can see there's no movement by the Swans. They said hands on hips, no movement at all.
Trying to avoid a 0-2 start to the year with both losses at home potentially as this ball goes out of bounds for a throw-in deep at left full forward. Lions by 10 points here, 25 gone third term.
It does look like there's a little bit of confusion out there, doesn't there, about who's moving where, the structure, and maybe it could be a bit of a change in systems that they're struggling with a little bit at the moment.
Boundary throw in deep in attack for Sydney. Well done, Jasper Fletcher. Took that cleanly off the ruck tap and cleared defensive 50. And then picked up nicely by Morris, who was under no pressure. Took a bounce on the wing from that contest. Kicks to half forward. It's a nice mark by Wicks, but it's a free kick against. The umpire spotted something. It went the way of McKenna. He's kicked quickly over the top. It might sit up for Bailey for his 5th. It won't. It'll just evade him slightly. Another boundary throw in next to the behind post. Deep in attack for Brisbane, who lead by 10 points. What a win this would be for the Premiers, who trailed by 4 goals at one stage in the second term. Worked their way into this contest superbly.
Back in it comes. Inside 50 here for the Sydney Swans. McInerney shares it there with Heaney. It's a little wide the hand pass though. Levi Ashcroft over it. Florent now wrapped up, dispossessed. It comes to Berry. McCluggage has Heaney for company. And he's brought the ground heavily as well. Umpire will give the free kick there going the way of the Sydney Swans and their reigning best and fairest, Isaac Heaney. As Declan Bird mentioned a short time ago, Riley Bice now into the game, subbed in for Ben Patton. Mature ager, 3rd round pick from last year. Free kick chopping to the arms of Sydney Swans. Hand pass comes from Campbell. They're out here. Hand pass does come out of McInerney's run down from behind. It's not often you see him outpace Justin McInerney, but Jasper Fletcher got him just as he closed toward the 50-metre line, so it's going to be a Brisbane ball at centre-half back. Fletcher is a little proppy, though, in back play as he's just kicked that ball away to Harris Andrews. It's the Lions by 10 points, 27 go on third term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Brilliant chase, Fletcher. Andrews' kick finds Wilmot. They work it out to half forward, and Morris, who has some separation on Melican. Melican did well to close on him, though, and wrap him up. Fair shout for holding the ball. And it'll be a ball up just outside 50, right half forward for Brisbane, who are 9-10-64, Sydney 8-6-54. 27 minutes gone in the third term. Saturday footy, ABC Sport. McInerney wins it clean out of the ruck. Here's Zorko, kicked a big goal in this quarter, tapped it to Morris, found some space with the banana right forward pocket, Logan Morris. What a goal, youngster. From the standing start, plenty of composure. This burgeoning key forward with a bit of brilliance. And Brisbane's lead is 16.
It's just starting to look very dangerous. A lot of hands on hips from the Swans. Looks like the energy's just gone out of them a bit. And Brisbane are just starting to hit their straps. They're starting to be clean. They're winning the contested ball. That's the big thing at the moment. It's 117-91 contested ball. It's just and it's these youngsters from Brisbane. They're just so impressive. Fletcher, the Ashcroft boys. You can just keep rattling them off, but. This is a great goal by Morris.
What about the finish? The step around. Melican's been great today, but the step around, the confidence to go inside, kick the check side from the boundary. Thanks very much.
ABC Sport, Joel Patfull, Ryan O'Keefe. Here's Declan Byrne.
Jasper Fletcher, that rundown tackle on McInerney. He's come off. He can't put any weight on his right foot, so he's in some trouble as well. Just taking painkillers now, and looks like we'll get re-strapped.
And a 40-point turnaround here for the Brisbane Lions. They lead by 16. Hand pass away from Jordan out of the middle. Wilmot there for the Brisbane Lions. Trapped by Starcevic. Weaves his way past Rowbottom. Now he kicks down the line, Starcevic. Towards half forward for Brisbane. Leading up again. Morris on the half volley. It was awkward. Spinning through traffic there. Bice, who's brought to ground by Archie. Umpire says, give it to me. It's centre half forward for the Brisbane Lions. It's they who lead by 16 points. 29 go on third term. Down it comes here again. Justin McInerney is wrapped up by Will Ashcroft. Ball up again. Repeating, by the way, Jack Scrimshaw, his contact with Jordan Woodley last night graded as striking. He'll miss 3 weeks. That's the verdict of the MRO. Severe impact, careless conduct, high contact. As it will be a free kick now going the way of the Sydney Swans from that stoppage.
To Rowbottom. Free kick against Will Ashcroft. Now he's got Hayward in space. Sydney need to kick the next. Well, this will get really concerning for them. Hayward to half forward. Bounces once in front of Hanley, and that allowed Dunkley to pick it up and get it to Answorth. On his left, he looks for Archie. Rampy kept his feet better in that contest. Handball to Hayward, over the top to Riley Bice, the debutant. His first kick in AFL footy, does a 360, and instead chooses to handball. He's realised how quick this caper is. Gets it back from Rampy, though. Now he can have his first kick. It's touched. McInerney's able to gather, though. Now Warner. They work it towards half forward, the Swans. The kick inside 50. Heaney's down there through the hands of McCartan. Heaney will gather and kick one for Sydney. They worked hard for that one. They needed it badly. The champion Heaney from 2 metres out slams it through. Brisbane's lead cut back to 10 points.
I'll take that one. That was... But there's a contest there, and there's ground level support. You had Heaney and Papley there, which is good. But you can see the round, Paul Bryce there and Rampy. They had no options because there's no movement. Everyone's just flat-footed. They're just going to get going. So they're just going to make, whether it's take a bit more of a kick mark game and control a little bit of possession than to get deep entries. But it's the slower and the less running the Swans are doing, the more it's playing into Brisbane's hands.
That's the voice of Norm Smith medalist Ryan O'Keefe on ABC Sport. Great to have your company. We'll preview Bulldogs North up next at Docklands. You'll hear that, or Collingwood Port, depending on where you are around Australia. And of course, all available via the ABC Listen app across our AFL buttons. Centre bounce clearance here. Chad Warner off to Rampy. Goes the fend on McKenna. Fires the hand pass back to Brodie Grundy. High inside forward 50 again, but Payne beats McCartan with a push. That's what the crowd wants, but the umpire says no. It's a Brisbane mark. His kick a little dicey though, sets a task for Berry. Papley arrives to him, big divots come off the turf, and now Neal slides in, taken by Rowbottom. It's a bit frantic out there on the outer side. Umpire lets them play, now says holding the ball. It was dragged in by the Brisbane Lions, and it will be a Swans free. Papley has also felt after the fact. There won't be a 50 though. Papley will have it at left half forward for the Sydney Swans. They trail by 10 points as we approach three-quarter time. He wastes no time. Wheels around now. Deep to the pocket, leaping up the back. And Marty gives away the free kick there on Leicester.
He was strong there, Leicester, in the contest. Thought about playing on and switching it. Instead goes the safe side, down to right half back. McInerney's well tackled by Jordan. Shouts of holding the ball, that's paid. Advantage paid, though, to Blakey, and his kick inside 50. Off hands, Leicester gathers. They're under the pump now, Brisbane. Tapping it forward. Down there was Bice, but Rayner able to extract the football and just slam it forward just to buy Brisbane some time, just to allow them to breathe. Back there was Rampy. He worked it forward to Warner, and Sydney will go on the attack again. They trail by 10 points, but they've got the momentum at the moment.
Chad Warner thumps it deep and high inside forward 50. Lloyd wants it back there, but it's well watched through the air by Dane Zorko, and Lloyd also puts him down after the fact. But
what was that kick? Oh, that's just a hit, kick and hope.
And plenty of that in this game so far for both sides. The Lions lead by 10 points. Not long left before the final change. Up it goes toward the members' wing. Dunkley, the loose man, slides in and marks. Had a gash above his eye earlier in this third quarter. He's got the head tape on now, Josh Dunkley. Premierships with two clubs, 8 years apart. As he goes down the line, out to a pack. Down there for Hayward for the Swans, wrapped up by Will Ashcroft. The umpire says, give it to me for a ball up. 33 minutes and 16 seconds played in this third term. It's the Lions by 10 points on ABC Sport.
Enough time perhaps for Brisbane to conjure up one more attack. Fort wins it out of the ruck, squeezed it forward. Rampy took the mark, didn't go 15. And there's the three-quarter time siren. Advantage Brisbane as we go into the final quarter here at the SCG, the grand final rematch. It's not a slaughter like we saw on the last Saturday in September in Melbourne last year. It's the Lions by just 10, but they've wrestled that back from 24 points down. Sydney in danger of going zip and 2 at home to start the season. A big final term coming up Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
For the Lions who lead it, Zach Bailey kicked his fourth goal in that third quarter. Singles to Hipwood, Archie, Darcy Fort, Dane Zorko also on the board in that third term. Logan Morris and Oscar McInerney. Meanwhile for the Sydney Swans, 2 each for Corey Warner and Braden Campbell. 1 each to Lloyd, Hanley, Chad Warner and Isaac Heaney also on the board in that third term. Tom McCartan has one to his name as well. The Brisbane Lions by 10 points at three-quarter time. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport.
The Socceroos are back on ABC Sport as they try to book their place in the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
Right into the 6-yard box and puts it in. It's his second of the night, and it's a well-crafted goal by the Socceroos.
Catch all the action Thursday night on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Lift off the footy down there was Lloyd, sharked by Bailey, tumbles it towards goal and through. Up against the boundary line, Zach Bailey dribbles it through on the impossible angle, or so it seemed. Kicks his third of the afternoon. Ball dispute, down there is Darcy Fort, turns it half forward, puts the Lions back inside forward 50. Hipwood leads across and marks. Deep in the left forward pocket, no more than 25 out. Open up the angle, I reckon, with a right foot snap. He does just that. It's on target. It curls around the post beautifully. Brisbane back in front for the first time since their very first score of the game.
Hayward just tapped it in front of himself. Picked up by Hanley, the second gamer. Well done, youngster. His first goal in AFL footy on the snap. And he has deserved every single bit of that. The shot from Zorko from outside 50 is through. The veteran, something out of nothing. They won it back at our forward. And Dane Zorko, game number 278, season number 14 with a long-range bomb.
High kick inside 50 here, taken into the SCG. Spoil away Patton out the drop though. Bailey can close with a snap on the run and he wobbles it through. 4 goals for Zach Bailey. That's the biggest Brisbane lead so far.
Here's Zorko, kicked a big goal in this quarter, tapped it to Morris, found some space with the banana right forward pocket, Logan Morris. What a goal, youngster. The kick inside 50. Heaney's down there, through the hands of McCartan. Heaney will gather and kick one for Sydney. They've worked hard for that one. They needed it badly.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The reigning premiers trailed by 4 goals in both the first and second quarters, but now lead by 10 points at the final change here at the SCG. More from Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull very shortly. If you are listening through South Australia, Western Australia and Northern Territory, you'll head off to Collingwood versus Port Adelaide at the MCG next. The rest of us are off the Docklands to the Bulldogs and the Kangaroos. Matt Clinch, hello.
Spriggy, hello to you as all 18 teams feature for the first time in 2025. One of the biggest curiosities ahead of a big year for the Bulldogs has been what will happen this season. It's a special year celebrating 100 years in the VFL AFL competition with a feature Friday night game against Collingwood next week, but it's been a challenging off-season. After finishing 6th, the Bulldogs were the victims of the Raging Hawks, and then an off-season in which Coach Luke Beveridge enters the final year of his contract. That's scheduled to run till October 31, and Kylie Watson-Wheeler, the president, wrote during the week that all members are comfortable and happy with the approach in which the club is taking. But it's been the injuries which have been most challenging, and Marcus Bontempelli, the latest to go down, and Bevo saying there's no guarantee when Jamara Ugle-Hagan will be back in the fold, but it might not be in the short term. The good news for North Melbourne fans is that Nick Larkey has been out there warming up, and while we haven't officially got the team sheets, the Kangaroos trying to build on their 3 wins from last season. They have 5 debutants with Caleb Daniel. We know, of course, of Luke Parker and Jack Darling making the transition across. Jacob Constanti from Sydney as well, and Finn O'Sullivan picked 2 from last year. Also looking forward to seeing Matt Kennedy, the former Blue for the Western Bulldogs, Josh Dolan and Sam Davison, who was the bolter to feature for round 1. Can't wait to bring it to you alongside Lauren Borden, Chad Wingard and, of course, Daniel Harford. As you said, it's a dealer's choice tonight, either under the roof of Docklands, the Bulldogs and the Kangas, and Collingwood and Port Adelaide.
Thank you, Clinchy. All covered for you via the ABC Listen app, and plenty of intrigue, of course, around both North Melbourne and the Bulldogs at the start of a new campaign. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb here at the SCG. The Brisbane Lions by 10 points. The Swans brought their sub in that third term. Ben Patton out of the game and Riley Bice on debut. Of course, the Lions, what makes their turnaround even more impressive is the fact they had Kai Lohman subbed out in the first quarter with a left ankle injury and have been undermanned up front. But nonetheless, do lead this game 10-10 to 9-6. Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull, your experts, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, well, the Lions were just cleaner in that quarter when they had to be. Both teams still sloppy by foot, but when they had to be inside 50, we were able to put possession together and finish, which has given this little bit of a lead. But the Swans had a crack late. The last 5 minutes, they lifted their intensity. They looked like they wanted to be a part of it, and the crowd got involved, and that's what they're going to need to come home in this last quarter. Contested possession still plus 25 for the Lions. So if the Swans want to get back into the game, they've got to try and edge back into that. They're probably not going to get plus 25 in this quarter, but they need to get somewhere near that to turn around. You can't win a game of footy plus 25 down, but the Lions looking pretty dangerous. Zach Bailey inside 50, you just can't give him time and space. He's probably the danger man going into this last quarter.
I think as the run and the speed of the Swans game has come down, it's suited Brisbane, particularly the way Brisbane, they've been a little bit more methodical and that kick mark, and they've been, you saw Zorko take a few balls through the corridor and they're hitting their targets, and then they get that speed as they get in the front half. Where the Swans at the moment, they just can't connect, and they just can't get some possession chain to then get a clean forward entry. Like the goal they got was a contest, but they had ground level support, which has sort of been lacking a little bit. But there's probably a few players from the Swans that Chad Warner needs to get into the game, that Papley needs to get into the game. So there's a few of their senior players that need to get into it, where you can see Brisbane, they're starting to get a consistent workload through right across their whole team.
What do the numbers say, Dan Garb?
Loving Josh Dunkley's game again. 19 disposals, 9 tackles, 10 contested possessions, carrying on from his great grand final. Berry has 21 for Brisbane. Heaney's got 20 with 4 score involvements and a goal for the Swans. Blakey with 19. Chad Warner quiet by his standards, just 12 disposals. Papley really quiet as well, just the 8. Lockie Neal, just the 6. So James Jordan doing a good job on him, but Brisbane don't mind too much. Just seen Warner go down to the forward pocket to start this term, and he just told Tom McCartan and a few others, stay away from me, give me space, you hang around the 50 and let me and Joel Amati have about 20 metres to our own deep in attack.
In danger of 0-2 to start the year, the Sydney Swans, with both of those games at home as well. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
It'll be interesting to see how both teams run out this last quarter. Swans had 15 players at one point on their bums or their tummies getting rub downs in that last break.
On their bums and tummies. That sounds so cute, Declan. Fantastic. 10 points. Just the way you phrased it. 10 points is the Lions lead. Here in the final term we go. Out of the middle there by McInerney. That's Oscar for the Lions. Off the deck, McCluggage to Bailey, and the other clearance comes from Zorko, the veteran. Wobbly kick inside forward 50, and Hamling, a towering presence down there on his Swans debut. The premiership winning Bulldog and former Docker. Here comes wide beyond defensive 50 for Jake Lloyd.
It's been good, Hamling. It's been one of the positives for Sydney today. Still well and truly in this game, of course. Just 10 points the margin. Got a lot of work to do around their key position stocks, as we know. Hamlings looks strong. Here's Rampy at left half back. Kicks towards Amati. He'll run and jump at this. Got two hands to it. Wasn't strong enough to hold the football. Lloyd, though, was roving beneath him. Got it to James Jordan. Did well to find some space and kick to half forward. Cutting across with courage was Starcevic. Got a hand to that and ensured it went over the boundary line. Papley failed to keep it in play. And the Lions teammates get around Brandon Starcevic because he knew he'd take the hit, but he got the hand in crucially.
He'd have to be one of the most underrated defenders, Starcevic. He's a great player. Just solid. He can play on tall, play on small. He's done another great job on Papley.
Minute and a half into this final term at the SCG. Lions by 10 points. No change to our three-quarter time score. As Jordan provides a shepherd there. Hacked out of the air, straight into the path of Jake Lloyd. Dumped at the Dunkley tackle. Footy comes loose here for Will Ashcroft. And now Zorko again. Spirals it back towards half forward, but it's marked by Dane Rampy. The Swans intercept again. He was off his line. Play on, says the umpire. Evades the tackle of Morris, and now Bailey as well. Rampy finds Roberts by hand, and now he flares it across by foot to Corey Warner. He's in plenty of space on the outer wing. Has room to bounce. Ball slips away from him though. Goes back to brother Chad. He backtracks there under pressure from Levi Ashcroft. Speaking of brothers, high ball inside forward 50. Out to a 2-on-2. Haywood parks himself under it. Controls it there in the pocket. 25 out, slight angle.
It was another Hail Mary from Warner. He's given a couple of them, hasn't he? But it's paid off. And I was just thinking to myself then when you talked about the Swans game style, it's a confusing what they're going for. Whether they're, we remember back to early last year when they were run and gun and they were like Blakey coming off half back and they were hitting targets and running through the middle, and they just haven't quite been able to put it through, whether they can't hit those targets or finish their play today.
41 goals, 16 last year. Played every game, one of 9 Sydney Swans players to do so. He makes no mistake with the set shot here, Will Haywood. It's on a long-term deal last year as well. He cuts the margin back to 4 points. It's the Brisbane Lions, 10-10-70. The Swans get the first major of this final term, 10-6-66. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patford.
And to follow on to your point, Joel, he's spot on. Like, they just need to be a little bit more direct and have a bit more conviction. Just hit those, go for those. Even if it doesn't work, at least have a method. Hey, we're going to go that way. Like, these just Hail Marys into there, just as I've been saying all game, just suits Brisbane, suits Harris Andrew. The only difference there, what Joel Amati did a really good job, he engaged Andrews there, so he couldn't come in and put that spoil in. So, yeah, I just think, they're a little bit not sure. The left hand's not speaking to the right hand and what needs to go. They just sort of need to sharpen that up a bit.
Hasn't been the prettiest game of football, but it's living up to the grand final rematch billing. Brisbane lead by just 4 points. Here's McInerney. He didn't play in the grand final. Slamming on the boot. Another good bit of play there by Hamling. Takes the contested mark. What a debut he's having. To the other Swans debutant, an AFL debutant in Riley Bice. Honours the sub. Good kick by him, the Werribee VFL premiership player. To find McInerney. That's dangerous to Heaney. They just slam it forward, though. The Swans made the best of a concerning situation. That's better from Papley against Starcevic to win it at centre half forward. Swans fans think he was tackled without it. Now Starcevic is hurt. Well done by Ashcroft, who just got the ball in the air, and Dunkley took the mark. McCluggage, sorry.
So he's taken high by McInerney there in a bump. We'll have to look at that one.
Fletcher kicks inside 50, strong mark, Logan Morris. Out in front of Melican. He's an impressive young forward, kicked a superb goal in the third term. And Logan Morris, with a strong contested mark, will kick from 50 on a 45-degree angle to the left.
He's still down, Starcevic.
Down to Declan Byrne quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for Starcevic. Doc's tapping the head, which generally means we'll have a concussion test.
Logan Morris, pick 31 in the 2023 draft. A real gem of a find for the Lions. Kicks from just inside 50. It's across the face. Truthray behind. So Brisbane's lead 5 points, 11-11-71. Sydney 10-6-66. As Starcevic comes from the ground, and that might open things up for Tom Papley.
He was, by the way, concussed in the pre-season game against the Adelaide Crows. Would have actually missed the game against the Cats if it went ahead, as they bring it back into Sydney Swans. And it's going to be a free kick will go the way of the Swans as Roberts was held. So would have missed the opener if it went ahead last Thursday night. Alas, he plays today, and we'll have an HIA here, Brandon Starcevic for the Lions. Swans bring it away to Corey Warner. Got some pressure there from Levi Ashcroft. Melican darts away here for the Swans. Dashing out of defence, he goes inside 50 and spots up Amadi. 40 out. An angle slightly better than 45 degrees. An opportunity for the Swans to return to the lead.
That's the difference of a low hard ball into your forward line than a balloon ball. It just like Andrews couldn't get across and chop it off. So Mulligan's I've been really impressed. He's got better as the game's got on. He's been a cool head. He's been clean. He's been just doing the basics well, which is what you want from one of your key defenders.
3 goals against the Hawks last week, Joel Amadi. This a very important kick to put them back in front. He connects from 45. It trails well across the face, and it's just the minus score. It's the Lions by 4 points. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Starcevic came to the bench, sat down and slumped. He looks really dejected. He knows he's in trouble, and in fact, he's just got up. He's walking down to the rooms for the concussion test. I doubt we are going to see any more of Starcevic today. Second concussion, as he said, Spriggy, in a matter of weeks.
Brisbane lead by 4 points. They have it at left half back. Starcevic goes down to the rooms of the doctor. Levi Ashcroft on debut. He's been impressive. Kicks it up to the wing. Morris again makes a good contest. Melican engages him. Ball in dispute on the logo. Picked up by Morris. Well tackled by Campbell. Bailey, with 4 goals to his name, emerges with it. Kicks to half forward out in front of Hitwood. It's out of bounds on the full. Free kick Swans. SCG crowds starting to work their way into this game now and having an impact. Papley's still on the bench. Starcevic has been his opponent all game. They should try and get him on as soon as possible because he hasn't done much, Tom Papley, with Starcevic on him.
Brisbane by 4 points. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Grundy out the back here on the wing. Hand pass. Probably away here to Haywood. Left behind there for Levi Ashcroft. Follows up. Gets his kick away as he's bumped by Heaney. High towards half forward now for the Lions. Jake Lloyd spoils away. At the drop there is Jordan. Shares it now with Bice. Bursting off half-back here for the Sydney Swans. Shares the hand pass to Blakey. Gets it away now. Wide to Corey Warner. He sends his neat little kick up the line here to find the chest of Tom McCartan. He's 5 out at left half forward. Swans trail by 4 points. Bice is still not far from him, slightly inboard. McCartan will go long though, as they've done all game. And guess what? Same result. Picked off again, this time by Answorth. Intercepts for the Brisbane Lions. And they keep a 4-point lead, the reigning premiers. 10-11 plays, 10-7, 8 gone, final turn, ABC Sport.
Answorth in the right back pocket finds Lockie Neal, who has been really quiet this afternoon. This will be just his 8th disposal. Jordan's done a brilliant job on him.
When's the last time Lockie Neal had under 10 possessions in a game? It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. Jordan's a really good defensive mid. He does a really, really good job.
He's been an excellent recruit since coming across from the Demons. Bailey, he's been fantastic today. Wins it on the wing, gets it to Archie. He's wrapped up by Rowbottom, the tackling machine, and caught holding the ball. They play on quickly, the Swans from half-back. Lloyd to Chad Warner. Now Campbell on his left boot. It's misdirected straight down the throat of Noah Answorth, and now Brisbane can go back into attack. It's a bit of a sloppy game at times, but it's a close one. It's a thriller.
Levi Ashcroft. It's a kick away. As now dispossessed, Darcy Wilmot. On a pressure from Chad Warner. Back here for Dunkley though. High kick inside 50. Leading up Oscar McInerney. Strong grab. That was effortless opposed to the likes of Rowbottom. and he'll kick 40 out directly in front.
I think it's going to be survival of the fittest the last 20 minutes, the way it looks. There's a few tired bodies out there at the moment, and there's been a bit of commentary during the week about the lack of pre-season and the preparation for the players, so it'll see who can hang on there, because there's a few guys that are struggling, I think.
I was looking for Ashcroft's tally. Levi, he's had 21 disposals now, 13 kicks, 8 hand passes.
What a weapon. He's kind of, like, I know it's his first game, he's probably got a long career, but unbelievable. It looks like he's been playing for 2 or 3 years.
The big O. Could make it a big oh yeah here for Brisbane. It's offline. And it's what a relief for the Sydney Swans. 5 points is the Lions' lead. 10 gone, final terms, Saturday footy, ABC Sport.
Oh, what a finish in store. Brisbane lead by 5. The kick by Bice, the debutant entrusted with kicking duties. Finds Roberts, works it up to Jordan. Bice kept going. Well done to the debutant. His mature age, he's showing some dare. Hanley's handball, though, was wide of Campbell. He was under pressure, so Brisbane win it back through Berry. Kicks into the pocket, had nothing on. That has got to be deliberate, surely. Well, the umpire's called for a throw-in. I'm not sure he was trying to hit there, Jared Berry. For me, he was trying to get that into space and over the boundary line. That's the same as if you kick from half back to the wing.
Well played, though. Well played.
The will throw it in.
The problem with they've had 2 costly turnovers here on their half-forward line. Like, easy ones. That's what's killing them today.
Lions by 5. Swans the only goal this fourth quarter so far. Out of the ruck, Grundy slaps it forward. There to it first, Levi Ashcroft. Back to Berry. Snaps, centering ball. Back into the hot spot for the Lions. Crashing the pack, Hamling. At the drop, McCartan throws on the boot. Goes beyond defensive 50. Berry can't control the grab. Has some space to operate in though. He kicks inside 50 again. Wicks tries to field it. He's under pressure from Marchi. Now his kick is smothered by Zorko. So a forward 50 stoppage again inside 50 at the Randwick end for the Brisbane Lions, who lead by 5 points. By the way, at Docklands, no late changes for AFL for Dogs North. Their subs are Arthur Jones and Darcy Tucker. At the MCG, it's Collingwood and Port. And no late changes there. Subs are Pendlebury and Ryan Burton.
Lions by 5 points. Boundary throw in deep in attack for them. Will Ashcroft couldn't kick cleanly. Florent didn't move it forward. And now McCartan, who's gone back into defence to try and shore things up to Sydney, takes a mark in front of his defensive goal square and plays on quickly. He put Corey Warner, though, under pressure, and Leicester was able to spoil it. Boundary throwing just outside attacking 50 for the Lions. Left half forward down to Declan Byrne.
I've got a dozen of Riley Bice's mates right next to me who are cheering his every touch. He averaged 22 in the VFL last year with 75 disposal efficiency, 79%. So we're seeing a bit of that early for the debutant.
It's actually not his first ABC Sport broadcast, by the way. More of that in a second. As McKenna was put off the kick by Florent. Loose ball gathered there by Bice. And he goes beyond offensive 50. Intercepted there off half forward by Wilmot for the Lions. Shares the hand pass there with Berry. Dangerous now for the Swans defence. Fort gets it back. Here it comes to Zorko. Flying shot from 50 will come up a little short now. Archie is outnumbered. Spoil comes from Rampy, and now Wicks and Levi Ashcroft see it out of bounds. Yeah, we actually called the Ovens and Murray Grand Final 2 years ago. And Brett Delidio that day, he was playing for Albury, Riley Bice. He said, this guy's an AFL quality player. And there you go, wins a flag with Werribee last year in the VFL Team of the Year. Mature age pick up round 3 in the draft last year. AFL debut today, Riley Bice.
I reckon there should be more mature age drafts. I reckon there's so many good players out there not getting a go.
Agreed. This kid doesn't need to be mature age, that's Levi Ashcroft. He's well equipped at just 18 years of age. Brisbane have it here, top of the square. The snap down there by Zorko is through. The veteran with his second. And Brisbane's lead is now out to 11 points. Dane Zorko, evergreen, just got on the end of a scrappy bit of play and snapped it accurately for Brisbane with a critical goal in what is looming as a very tight finish.
Declan Byrne on the boundary.
The Swans will have to do it without Lewis Melican as well, who is iced up. It looks like he's in a thigh, groin sort of area. He's had lots of soft tissue injuries, so not good signs for Melican.
That's why Tom McCartan's gone back. I thought maybe the Tom McCartan forward experiment's over, but it looks like because Melican's gone down. But look, Brisbane are just steady hand, aren't they? They're set up well behind the ball when they've got the ball in their forward line. Their experienced players are stepping up and getting over the line, and their young players are feeding off that. So it's players like Zorko and that have just been really, really steady hand in this second half.
They trailed by 4 goals. Either side of quarter time, the Brisbane Lions. The reigning premiers now lead by 11. 14 gone, final term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Restart back in the middle. Heaney is there first with the Swans. Overruns the football slightly. Chad Warner is there to retrieve it though. Picks it up, spirals a high ball inside 50 at the drop there. Haywood bursting through is that man in Campbell. Comes wide back to Corey Warner. Has some room, 40 out. Left foot kick will bounce through just for a minor score. Was it touched? Might have been touched there in the end by Harris Andrews. And they're peppering away the Swans, but they trail by 10 points. 15 gone, final term, ABC Sport. Daniel Garb.
Brisbane play on quickly from defence. Florent takes a strong mark though for Sydney. He can send them deep into attack. They need to kick the next one, the Swans. Well, there's a fair chance they'll be zipping to start the season. Both games at the SCG. Florent sends them back inside 50. McInerney's there. It falls to the back. Hayward gathers it and then kicks it backwards and finds a teammate in Warner who just dropped it. Gathered it again. The snap on the left is across the face and marked down there by Berry. They just look rushed and panicky a bit, Sydney. There's a lack of composure deep in attack.
Spot on, Garbs.
The Lions hanging on. They subbed Loman in the first quarter. Starcevic a head knock. He's being assessed as we speak. You'd think it will take no further part. Calamarchi having treatment as well on the bench. So they're hanging on by 10 points as a free kick will go the way of the Lions for a hold. It was Wicks on Dunkley.
But the Lions can now just play tempo. They've got the lead. They're just marching the ball, playing it safe, long down the line, causing stoppages.
Well, it's Ryan O'Keefe on ABC Sport. Kick up the line here. Morris in front of McCartan. Roberts squeezed the hand pass out there for Bice. There's a loud cheer of his teammates. It goes back towards half forward now. McInerney that's just in the contest with Payne of the Brisbane Lions. Intercepted away here. Sliding in Campbell again. Loose ball. A ball pounced on by Wilmot. Got away from that tackle of Wicks and the Lions can clear again.
Up to the wing. Over the head of everyone in that contest. Tracking back to get it is Roberts. Will want to get on his left. Does so now. There's a bit of composure that Sydney desperately needs. Excellent kick from Roberts to find Amadi. Just forward of the wing. Brisbane lead by 10 points. 16 and a half minutes gone. Amadi just pops it up into the pocket. Big leap there by Corey Warner. Campbell does the roving. Finds some space. The big switch is on. And he executes it well to Florent. Just outside attacking 50. He pops it inside for Chad Warner. He put it on his head though. Leicester chopped the arms. Chad Warner will have the free kick and kick from just outside 50. Slight angle to the right.
Well, it was probably a lucky one in the end. He actually dropped the mark, but Leicester a bit too ambitious there, chopped the hand. But it's a good switch of play. They opened up that fat side of the ground rather than going deep. They didn't have many options. Amadi was outside 50, so they didn't have that deeper option. They finally used the ball well. They switched, lowered the eyes, hit the short target inside 50, but a big shot of goal here.
Slightly better than a 45-degree angle for Chad Warner. He loves these moments. Can he provide another one? From 52, it is straight through. Salute the Chad. Errol might be out, but his good mate provides a massive goal and brings the margin back to 4 points in favour of Brisbane. Chad Warner at the double.
That's a big goal. Big goal by a big player and needed, very much needed. Yeah, this game, it's up for grabs, and I just think if Sydney are going to get up, they're going to have to be a bit more composed and a bit more controlled with their ball. And they can start taking some marks inside 50. That's the way they're going to be able to win this game. They just can't blaze away because Brisbane are just set up too well behind the ball. So this is going to come down to the wire, and I think it's whatever team is more composed with it and can have more efficiency going forward.
Declan Byrne.
The Lions were down to 2, but Calamarchi has gone out there. He's still hobbling, so Archie on 1.5 legs. Swans are 3 on the bench. Lions back to 3 as well, with Starcevic still out in the rooms.
19 gone, final term. What a finish coming up on ABC Sport from the restart. Clean hands from Will Ashcroft. McCluggage dispossessed. Neil bursts by, points his kick towards half full, but dropping back there is Riley Bice. Marks it left, half back. Moves it on quickly now. Marty, it was a little too deep for him. Sliding out there again is Neil on that loose footy, and now it's controlled by Berry on the member's wing. Berry off to McCluggage by hand. McCluggage penetrates the 50. Archie is back out there, as Declan said, and he takes the mark. Low to his left, just inside forward 50 here for the Brisbane Lions.
Did Amadi attack that contest well enough, Ryan O'Keefe?
No way. No way. Anyway.
No, he's not happy. And see, Jordan's on the bench here. Lockie Neal just got involved 2 times, hit the target inside 50. Jordan would be filthy with that.
Calamachi. He was one of their grand final heroes last year. 4 goals in the GF, 3 in the prelim. To give them some more breathing space. Set shot on its way, straightens up, not quite enough. The margin is 5 points. And we're about to hit time on here at the SCG in the final term. On the boundary for ABC Sport, Declan Byrne.
Starcevic has returned, but he is gutted. Sitting at the back of the bench, he'll play no further part. Concussion, out, Starcevic.
Riley Bice goes short to Jake Lloyd. Brisbane by 5 points. 20 minutes gone now in the final term at the SCG. Warner goes down the corridor. Dangerous kick. Almost cut off. McInerney kept his feet and got it to Blakey. Off goes the Lizard. Got the handball free to Headley. The second gamer. His kick smothered. Well done, Answorth. 3 Swans around him though. Blakey wins it back. Got it to Hayward. Dropped the football though. Another slip by Sydney, and now Brisbane are out. They work it to McInerney and to McCluggage. Sold Warner some candy. Duck back inside, and his kick for Archie is superb. Archie's taken the mark. He's limping, but he willed himself to that contest, and he'll kick from 20 out, left forward pocket, when Sydney had the goal at their mercy at the other end.
You can see the difference there, everyone. A class player like McCluggage with cool hair just went pop, hit target, put it on an absolute dime for Archie. Come down the other end. Blakey rushed it a bit, but the young fella, Hamley, just got a bit flustered. Turnover.
Callum Archie kicked 4 goals in last year's grand final. He may go some way to breaking Sydney hearts again. He's wasted the opportunity. It was a golden one for Brisbane.
He can hardly move though. Look at it, he's hobbling. He must be seriously cramping.
Perhaps they had an impact. Brisbane's lead is 5 points, and they turned it over Sydney. Oh no, Matt Roberts has kicked it straight to Josh Dunkley, dashing out of defence, and Brisbane will get a second bite at the cherry. Down to Declan Byrne.
Almost identical as the opening round when Florent did that. He kicked it in his defensive 50 straight to a Hawks player, and that was basically the game.
There's a huge amount of skill errors for a game. I know it's early on in the year, but the skills by foot today has been interesting.
This can cap off another monster game for Josh Dunkley. He doesn't waste the opportunity. Arms aloft, picked up by his teammates. Dunkley with composure. A fantastic kick to bring Brisbane out to a 12-point margin, and he has been masterful in the Lions midfield.
He's had one big game. He's just a class player. Well, I think we're going to stop giving players excuses early in the season. They're professionals. Like, this is your trade. They're basic errors.
Well, there's players out there that they look like they're not ready to play an AFL game. The standard that they're out there today is not good enough, and it's not AFL standard. Whether it's dropping an easy mark or missing an easy target, then some of the Swans players, they're 2 rounds in, so you're right with any excuse, really. Like, you shouldn't be doing that round 1, but round 2, you should be well and truly ready to go.
So the Lions by 12 points. 23 going, final term at the SCG. Great to have your company on ABC Sport. This Saturday twilight fixture, and we'll ball it up again. Where do these 2 goals come from for the Sydney Swans? The Lions control things here. Centre bounce clearance again. McCluggage almost whips Justin McInerney's head off, and it'll be a free kick for Sydney. They may get one here.
They've got to move it fast. Too slow.
It's about 3.5 minutes of game time left. McInerney goes inside 50. And the contest there featuring Corey Warner and Cam Rayner, and it's off and over for a boundary throw-in.
Brisbane are just going to pile the numbers down there, just clog it up, just make this an absolute scrap.
24 minutes gone in the last. Saturday footy, ABC Sport. Brisbane lead by 12 points in the grand final rematch. Boundary throw in attack for Sydney. Florent will gather it just outside 50. Handball to Jordan. Goes backwards to Wicks. He just throws it on the boot for an up and under. They need to mark the Swans. Punched away from Amati. Down to Lester. Another good punch by Andrews. Lester's clearing kick is up to the wing. Good connection with that. Well done by Wicks to gather it and dart away and have a bounce and drill one into attack. Amati needs to take this mark. Jack Payne outmarks him. Played on quickly though. Now Lester. The kick wasn't clear of the danger. Jordan has it just inside 50. Broke free of the tackle, threw it on the boot. Off hands. And through for a behind. The lead is 11 points in favour of the Lions, and time is getting away from Sydney now.
They need 2 goals in 3 minutes. Not beyond any team. That may just, well, be beyond them. Crowd, by the way, 34,906 here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. They go beyond defensive 50. The Lions through Wilmot. Out to a 3-on-3. Rampy above the packets at the drop now as McCluggage is reaching for it. So too Will Ashcroft. He's heaped over the line by Jake Lloyd.
Well, there's still time, but it's just whether they can find a way through. They've been peppering away all game, but they've just got to, for that moment in time, find a player, lower their eyes and hit a target, and anything can still happen.
Back in it comes, members wing of the SCG. Swans get there first through Lloyd. Hurried kick towards half forward. Parked under it, McKenna got the spoil from behind there. In fact, it was Wilmot. Does come back here, though, for the Brisbane Lions. Payne to Wilmot, and now Fletcher fires it back to Will Ashcroft. Defensive side of the wing. Down the line now for McInerney. That's Oscar. And at the drop there, Riley Bice with the Swans. Bailey's kicked 4 goals. He goes swooping through. Rampy gets there first for the Swans.
To Grundy, and now Bice, who's been really good on debut, finds Chad Warner at centre half back. Swans have to make the most of this if they're any chance. McInerney back to Warner. Got hands free to Blakey. Chips one inside 50 and finds the target in Heaney, who'll want to go back quickly and convert this to bring it back with inside a goal with enough time left. But he has to make the most of this, Isaac Heaney, first.
I'm really impressed with Bice. He's come on, shown a lot of energy, taken the game on. That's the first bit of play for a little while that Swans had some conviction going forward.
Club champion, All-Australian, 4th in the Brownlow last year. Delivered in the finals until they got to the grand final. Isaac Heaney delivers a big goal for the Swans. His second of the game. Heaney and Warner, the 2 superstars with massive majors in this final term. It's 5 points the Brisbane lead, but there is still time for the Swans to snatch it.
What's Sydney need? They've got to win. They've got to try and win this game by just going direct and a bit more conviction. But what they need to do, they need to equalise ahead of the ball. They can't let Brisbane have a +1 behind the ball.
Yeah, you're right. The Lions will flood back here and try and fill that space, but 6-6-6 rule, plenty of space from the clearance here. Look for Warner running through, trying to expose the space, and you see Blakey there, composure inside 50. It's what they've lacked all day, but he had the time, he had the space, and he hit the target.
Joel Patfull, Ryan O'Keefe, Saturday footy on ABC Sport. What a finish coming up.
You watch Berry. Berry's going to slide back. That's why the Swans have put McCartan on there, so when he goes back, he's going to equalise forward.
Clean bounce. Grundy versus McInerney. Chad Warner is there, goal side. Neil goes with him. Footy comes loose. Wilmot missed the kick out of the air. Sliding in, it comes to Chad Warner again. He was ducked in a big tackle. Picked up there by Braden Campbell. Throws on the boot. It goes all the way, and it's marked no. Fumbled into the behind post or goal post by Heaney. It's a behind for the Sydney Swans. Lions by 4.
Less than a minute to go. Sydney need to win this back and get it inside 50 quickly. Brisbane goes short. Well done. Tom Papley with the spoil on Berry. He's locked it in deep in attack. Boundary throw in. They try to go short, Brisbane. Papley read it well.
That's good defensive effort there by Papley.
It lacks the same stakes as last year's Asada, but that game did lack this sort of finish. Lions by 4. Back in it comes. Inside 50 for the Swans. Papley came through. One of the high free kick, get it. He comes out here towards Leo Ashcroft. Sockers it beyond defensive 50. Awkward ball there for Hipwood. It comes to Bailey. Chadwater tackles him. And now Morris is taken high by Lloyd. Umpire says, yep, free kick Brisbane. They keep a 4-point lead. So Logan Morris has it at right half back for the Lions. And it's going to be 50 as well. Was it Patley or Lloyd who came in there? Patley was a little on the periphery. It's going to be an encroachment 50 here, and that does put this game to bed.
Yeah, it was Papley trying to go in and get it, but
what a way for it to finish. In heart-stopping fashion, the Lions will tick off the first assignment of their premiership defence. Barely 6 months on, Brisbane continues to haunt the Swans, who slumped to 0-2 in the Dean Cox era. The Lions prevail by 4 points. They see it through from a slow first half, a game that reached no real heights. What a finish in the end. 4 goals to Zach Bailey, 2 to Dane Zorko, singles to Archie, Hipwood, Morris, McInerney and Darcy Fort, as well as Dunkley for the Brisbane Lions, and for the Sydney Swans, 2 each for Corey Warner, Braden Campbell and Chad Warner, and Isaac Heaney, singles to Lloyd, Hanley, McCartan and Haywood. The Brisbane Lions by 4 points in the end. Here they go again. They didn't roar through the first 3 games of their premiership campaign last year. In fact, only won 3 of their first 9. They prevailed first up here in round 1, having been postponed from the opening round fixture due to the cyclone threat. It's a perfect start, just about, for Chris Fagan's men. 12-14-86 to the Sydney Swans, 12-10-82. The Swans led by 15 points at quarter time, by 13 points at the half. The Lions closed them down to lead by 10 points at three-quarter time. In the end, winners by 4 points in the end. They trailed by as much as 23 points in that first quarter. And the Lions did turn things around from there, despite Kai Lohman being in a moon boot. He's got a left ankle injury. He was subbed out in the first quarter. They lost Brendan Starcevic due to concussion that last quarter as well. And players coming on and off. But the Brisbane Lions do see it through. And the reigning premiers get a win first up here. And plenty more questions now to be asked of the Sydney Swans, which we'll get to later on. But it's all about the winners for the time being. Our experts on ABC Sport are Norm Smith medalist Ryan O'Keefe and former Lion and Giant Joel Patfield.
Yeah, the Lions were cleaner when they needed to be, didn't they? They finished well. They had 8 less inside 50s, but were able to convert under pressure. Zach Bailey, obviously, 4 goals from pretty limited opportunities. Where he was pretty closely checked for most of the day, but made the most of his time and space when he had it. But, I mean, the Swans, it feels like they kind of let one slip, didn't it? I think they controlled big parts of that game, but weren't able to capitalise. That mid-forward connection just wasn't quite there. They just kept bombing away, and they kept the Lions in the game. Couldn't quite kick those 2 or 3 goals to kind of give themselves a bit of breathing space. But they'll be pretty disappointed. I would have thought the Swans to be 2-0, and it did look like there was moments of the game where their structure kind of fell away a little bit, and there wasn't a clear kind of path to goal, and they weren't exactly on the same page. So they've got a bit of work to do over the next few weeks to try and turn that around.
Yeah, if you take the Swans, firstly, is when the game was at the start, they were up and about, they were moving it, they were running, they were being a lot more direct. They just couldn't capitalise, like you mentioned, particularly on some of their forward entries. And then at the end of the game, when they needed to win, they started doing the same thing. But that middle chunk of the game, they were very flat-footed. They were very there was no options, and they turned it over. They were trying to do a little bit too much. When the game was at the start and the finish, when they didn't think about it and they just went for it, they looked a lot more dangerous. If you look at Brisbane, they were just cool. They just kept chipping away, plugging away. They were thereabouts. Even though they were down, they were still hitting the scoreboard, but they weren't just kicking the goals. But then they just started to get the game slowed down to the tempo they needed, and they were just a little bit more cleaner and showed a bit more class. And then you look at some of their mid-Berry, Dunkley, the Ashcroft boys, they were sensational. You know, Zorko, his experience and just his ability, his ball use was fantastic. So Brisbane, they're going to be there again. And even though Swans have lost the first two games, Brisbane is a class team. They're going to be there. And I think Hawthorn as well is going to be there. So it's not like they've played two bunnies.
The Lions almost came down the race at the Paddington end, then realised their cheer squad was all over there on that far side of the ground, so they've gone to see their loyal supporters who witness a win. First up here in Sydney, 4-point winners tonight, the Brisbane Lions. By the way, we're off in 14 minutes' time. If you're listening through local radio DAB Plus in Melbourne, Hobart, Adelaide and Darwin, you're off to weekend evenings on News Radio through Sydney, Brisbane and Canberra. Back to network programs, while SAWANT on local radio heading off to Collingwood versus Port Adelaide. The rest of us off to the Western Bulldogs in North Melbourne at Docklands with Matt Clinch and the team there. So that is what is still to come here, but we'll get the reaction from the Brisbane Lions rooms with Declan Byrne, and it is a heartbreak for the Sydney Swans. 168 days on from that grand final shellacking. They can't get the job done here in the rematch against last year's opponent.
So if someone had told you before the game that obviously there's no Joe Danaher, Charlie Cameron will be a late omission, Kai Lohmann will go down in the first term, Lockie Neal will have 10 disposals, how would you rate Brisbane's chances of beating Sydney away? You'd say getting towards the slim side.
Yeah, but
it's a big win considering all of that.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the strength of it, they've got depth.
Yeah.
And they've got balance in their side. Like, they've got players that could just... there was not a player out there that looked out of sorts, whereas I think at the moment, Sydney's depth... Like, my biggest worry for the Swans at the moment is their forwards. They keep I don't know how they're going to kick scores. And when the game's tough like finals or it's a bit of a scrap, who's there that's going to make a big contest? Their key forward, it's dangerous.
Well, I think that's why they've tried McCartan. And to me, I mean, it looks like it is a little bit of a move in desperation. It's not a move out of proactiveness. It's like we've got to try and fill a gap and kick a score. I don't think he looks like a natural forward. I think there's an issue up there in terms of kicking goal. Amadi's down on form. They got to find a solution.
There was a moment there on the wing that we need to touch on. It was late in the game, so it was hard to dwell on it. But it was a kick towards Amadi, and you guys need to talk about this because you know what it's like to be out there and how brutal the contact can be. But it looked like he just hesitated to go back into a contact.
We'll come back to all that. The Brisbane Lions are the focus for the time being. 4-point winners here. Declan Byrne, they're coming your way in the rooms.
They're just making their way in now. Basically an empty room as well. So Charlie Cameron first to celebrate, though. He's here. High five for the debutant Levi Ashcroft. First in, Dunkley second in. They are very happy with this win. The delayed start for the Lions. They probably should have started their season, 9 days ago. They've had to wait to get out there. But they are very, very happy with this win. Lots of backslapping as they circle up. Just looking for Kai Lohmann. Looking a bit more down than the rest of them, but he makes his way into the circle. Levi Ashcroft gets the customary spray from all sorts of sports drinks, and they're ready to sing the song for the first time in 2025. The Premiers win their first game of the year.
A winning score in their first 3 games last year. Winners first up here in round 1, the Brisbane Lions. 8 different goal kickers as well, and of course that includes Zach Bailey, who kicked 4. So that does answer some of their spread of scoring as far as the absence of Danaher and Charlie Cameron today, as well as Kai Lohmann for 3.5 quarters as well. Back to Declan Byrne very shortly as soon as we have our interview talent. But you can keep your text coming, by the way, 0437 774 774. If you're heading off to Docklands for Bulldogs and North, or off to the MCG for Collingwood and Port Adelaide.
Can you finish off the question I asked before about Amadi and just what that maybe says about Sydney's forward line, considering he's pretty much the main man at the moment?
What you want from your key forward is some physicality and aggression. And from the short history we've got from Joel at the moment, I don't think it's in his nature or his ability or whatever to be that aggressive. I think he'll be a perfect third tall, or this, a bit like how Hipwood plays. I think he's got that athletic ability and got those attributes. But as your key forward, it's got to show you some aggression and bust some packs. You can't shirk contests like that and expect your team to be able to rally forward. So they need to work. I know they've got McDonald and McLean out, which they come in, hopefully they've got to play that, but that's something the Swans desperately need. They need a key forward. Doesn't have to take all the marks, but it's just got to create a strong contest and a bit of a presence out there, so then those other players can feed off. And you see all the good teams have that. They've got that key forward that you can feed off, that just is a presence down there. And unfortunately, at the moment, that's what the Swans are lacking, and I just don't think Amani's got that in him.
Declan, back down to you.
Down here in the Brisbane rooms with Hugh McCluggage, that was a gutsy first up win.
Yeah, it was a great fight. They just kept throwing punches and we kept throwing them back. It's probably what you'd expect with a grand final rematch at Sydney as well. So, yeah, we haven't started the seasons well in the last 2 or 3 years. So it was really pleasing that we just played good team footy and were able to grind out a win.
Delayed start to the season. How itchy were you to all get out there and get this season underway?
Yeah, we were pretty excited. We came down to Sydney about 3 or 4 days early just to get out of Brisbane. A few boys were impacted by what didn't turn out to be a cyclone, but it was near enough to it. And yeah, it was just great to get out here again. Enjoy playing with everyone. I think that's what we did at the end of last year. We just enjoyed we played for each other, and it was great to get back on the winners list straight away.
Against the team you beat last year in the grand final, did it feel like there was some extra spice out there, or how was it against the Swans?
They obviously were going to set themselves for the game, especially coming off last week. I know they had a big focus on contested ball and defence, and I thought they did that really well the whole game. We had to really grind. We couldn't get a whole lot of uncontested marks, but as the game opened up, we started running, and it just really was who was on top at the end, to be honest. Those games can go either way.
On ABC Sport, down here in the Brisbane rooms with Hugh McCluggage. Let's head upstairs. Ryan O'Keefe and Joel Patfull.
Hugh, congratulations. Another good game. Look, the talk was about your team is obviously some players not out there today, but what good teams do, and you are a good team, you must have some confidence that you just got a great spread and every player that steps out there plays a role. And you can see new players like Levi Ashcroft come in, just to be able to just go out there and look like they've played for 2 or 3 seasons. You must have that confidence, even losing players, that people can fill that void and you still play good team footy.
Definitely. I think our recruiting staff have done an amazing job of bringing in some great players. Obviously, not every club can get 2 Ashcrofts, and that's pretty special. But even the guys like Lashi Kai and Logan Morris, who was huge there at the end with a couple of big contests for a second-year player, it's just amazing what they're doing. We look up to clubs like Geelong and Sydney who have been able to stay up the top for a long time, and I think we're starting to build that culture where young kids can come in and be themselves and play really well straight away. That's what you need.
Mate, you talked about the interrupted preparation coming down to Sydney a few days early. What did that look like for you guys, and to get out of Brizzy, get some dry weather? I saw a few of the boys were down at Bondi having a latte. How'd that go for you?
No, that was nice to get down to the beach. We came in Wednesday. We didn't train at all for 3 or 4 days over the weekend. We sort of, it felt like COVID again. We were locked inside. We didn't really know whether we were going to be able to train on the Tuesday. Luckily, we could get out onto the Gabba on Tuesday, so we pretty much had a normal week. And yeah, the boys love getting down to Bondi, Cam Rainers and whatnot. Love getting the shirt off and walking on the beach there. Yeah, it's good fun. You've got to enjoy the away trips because we do it so often.
Hugh, when was the last time you saw your skipper or Lachie Neale have 10 touches or less in a game? You still managed to win.
Yeah, it's probably been a little while. I thought even though he probably didn't have the same impact, he was amazing for us tonight with his selflessness. He put himself in spots where they wanted to go through, even though he knew he probably wasn't going to get the ball. And there was probably been a little bit spoken about in the past about how if Lockie doesn't get the ball, then we can't really win, or we don't manage to generate enough scores. But guys like Dunks and Will Ashcroft and Levi all stood up. Jared Berry on the wing, Bales, they all played their part. And it's a really good sign for us that Locke can have a quieter game, albeit still impactful in different ways, and we can still get a good result.
Yeah, Dunkley was fantastic, Hugh. Tell us a bit more about Levi Ashcroft, though. So 25 disposals on debut. Give us some insight into this boy wonder.
Well, he's full of confidence, so that doesn't surprise me one bit. He's exactly like Will. They just know what they have to do. They're the ultimate professionals. They prepare. And their confidence is unwavering, so it's no surprise that they come out and do what they do. And Levi, he probably all of last year in the juniors played inside mid, but today's role was a little bit different. He had to play on a wing and half forward, and he still found ways to impact, get involved, and he's going to buy into our team system, which is what we expect from everyone. But yeah, as I said earlier in the last question, for us to be able to get two players of that calibre, it's very special, and I can't wait for him to be feeding me the ball for a little while longer.
And after the false start last week, Hugh, you are at home next week against the Eagles on Sunday. A chance to sort of raise the flag and share that moment with your fans. How special is that going to be?
Extremely special. We've grinded so hard over 8-9 years, even longer for some boys to try and get there, and last year to experience it was, just amazing. A bit of relief, a lot of excitement. Yeah, the emotions were huge, but I think tonight showed we've done a really good job of coming back down to earth and getting going again. We haven't stopped talking about it, really. We still, we don't want to shy away from the fact that teams are going to be coming for us, and we need to go and do it all again. And I think everyone's got that hunger there now to get back and experience that again. I'm sure that the fans and the parents and all the families and everyone will enjoy that moment next week, and then we'll get out there and go again.
Well played tonight, Hugh. Appreciate your time.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Hugh McCluggage, the Brisbane Vice-Captain, with us on ABC Sport. Quick 3-2-1, Ryan O'Keefe, your best players in the ABC Player of the Year.
Yep, 3 votes. Josh Dunkley, thought he was fantastic, solid over there. I'm going to go 2 votes for Isaac Heaney. I thought he was the standout for the Swans, and then 1 for Zach Bailey's kick 4.
Okay, 3 Dunkley, 1 Heaney and 1 to Bailey in the ABC Player of the Year, as adjudged by Ryan O'Keefe on his triumphant return to ABC Sport today, his first time for a few years. As mentioned, the Lions are at home to West Coast at the Gabba on Sunday in the 1 o'clock game, or midday as it is, Queensland time daylight saving, and the Swans are away to Freo, the wounded Dockers, who were beaten by 78 points earlier at the hands of Geelong. That's at Perth Stadium in the late game on Sunday to close round 2.
That's an early pressure game, because we know Justin Longview is coming to the season under pressure. Dean Cox is zipping too. So that's a big one for Sydney and Freo and their coaches.
That's all from us. Going in different directions now at the Docklands. It's the Bulldogs and North Melbourne. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden head up our team there, while it's with Aaron Bryans and Mitch Turner for Collingwood and Port Adelaide at the MCG. The subs there were Pendlebury and Burton, and the subs at Docklands, I did have this only a short time ago, they were Arthur Jones and
Darcy Tucker.
Thank you so much. Darcy Tucker there for the Kangaroos. Thank you, Garvey. Thank you for your efforts across today, as always. Thank you to Declan Byrne on the boundary and in the rooms. Thank you, Joel Patfull. Thank you to Ryan O'Keefe. Enjoy the fashion, Joel. And we'll see you soon, Ryan O'Keefe, as well. Thanks to Nathan Turnbull on the faders here at the Sydney Cricket Ground, to Akash back in the studio, and to you, most importantly, for your company as well. It's local programs on digital radio, DAB+, or on News Radio. But if you are listening across Australia on local radio in various places, it's off to the MCG or Docklands next.
Get your footy fix on the ABC Listen app.
Right as an arrow!
AFL, NRL, men's, women's, to listen anywhere you want.
Yes!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle.
Giant set bingo!
Live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.